Tonight's meeting on May 15th of the Redondo Beach Planning Commission. Can I start with a roll call of the commissioners? Jamal?
Is your mic on?
Jamal?
Yeah, I think so. But Jamal?
Jamal?
Oh, yeah, we were starting a meeting. You do a roll call vote? A roll call. of the members.
Commissioner Light,
Present.
Commissioner Boswell,
Present.
Commissioner Young,
Present.
Commissioner Gaddis,
Here.
Commissioner Conroy,
Here.
Commissioner Hazeltine,
Here.
Chairperson Craig.
Here. Thank you very much. And Ms. Young, would you like to lead us in the salute to the flag?
Sure. Right hand over your heart. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Now, next, I believe we need to move to approve the order of agenda.
A motion to approve the order of agenda?
Second.
All vote, all aye?
Aye.
The motion is approved. Agenda is approved. I think next is blue folder. Do we have blue folder items to receive and file for the meeting?
Motion to receive and file blue folder
If
items?
there are any.
Yeah, there,
Is
Yeah, there
yeah,
are.
there? I haven't seen
80 some
There are.
it. Really?
100 emails.
letters.
Holy moly, I
118,
didn't see
yeah.
them. Were they in an
It came.
email to us?
They sent
or-
two different attachments, but yeah, it's a big one.
I didn't
It
see
came out
that at all.
yesterday. It came out yesterday.
Yeah.
Oh, I
yesterday.
haven't received
Second.
any of that.
I'll second that.
Second that. All vote in favor?
Aye. Aye.
What are we voting on?
We're approving the blue folder items that have been received for the meeting tonight.
I didn't know there were any. I was busy today.
I got them yesterday.
Okay,
Be reviewing
next
that.
is consent calendar. And let's see, these are business items, except those formally noticed for public hearing or those polled for discussion are assigned to the consent calendar. Commission members may request that any consent calendar item be removed, discussed, and acted upon separately. Items removed from the consent calendar will be taken up under the executed consent calendar section below. Those items remaining on the consent calendar will be approved in one motion. The chair will call on anyone wishing to address the commission on any consent calendar item on the agenda which has not been pulled by the commission for discussion. Each speaker will be permitted to speak only once, and comments will be limited to a total of 3 minutes. So I guess the first thing we have to do we want to approve anyone want to discuss anything on the consent calendar, any motions or pull anything? We have,
Where do we,
we're on F, which is the.
I know, my question, Chair, is when would we propose a change in the order of the agenda?
We did that prior on the.
Okay. I missed my opportunity.
Okay.
I was going to propose that we do the hearing for the gymnastics before we do the hearing on the liquor store.
Can we make that motion at this point, or have we already gone past that?
Why do you want to
Let's
do
make
that?
a motion to go back. Have someone second it and
You
then
can
go
make a
back.
motion, I guess, to go back to.
I could be
re-examine
wrong.
that.
My sense is that the liquor store hearing may go longer than the one on the gymnastics location.
Actually, look at all the people that are out there.
Does someone want to make a motion to re-examine that, or are we out of order if we do that?
Can we survey the gallery and find out who's all here for the gymnastics and who's all here for the liquor store? Can we do the gymnastics first?
I need a motion to, if you want to substitute
I move
that.
that we change the order of the agenda to do the gymnastics hearing first, or prior to the. Okay.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So motioned. There we
Sorry
go.
about that.
Oh, no problem, not a problem at all. And
Is that okay, Mark, or you have the people?
It is, yes. So you can go about the way it was done, or you could reopen item D to approve the order of the agenda and change it. But I think since the action was fairly benign, that's fine that you voted on it at this stage in the meeting.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Thank you, Mark.
okay. So next would be the public participation on non-agenda items, I believe. This section is intended to provide members of the public with the opportunity to comment on any subject that does not appear. Actually, we need to approve the meetings first, don't we, for the consent calendar? Or do we have to approve those? I don't know if we have approved those 2 items yet.
Motion to approve consent calendar items.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
There we go. Okay, so it does. Again, back on public participation on non-agenda items. This section is limited to 30 minutes. Each speaker will be afforded 3 minutes to address the commission. Each speaker will be permitted to speak only once. Written requests, if any, will be considered first under the section. Jamal, has anyone turned in any cards to speak on non-agenda items tonight?
Meaning-
Oh, the what?
There's everything.
Oh. Okay. Oh, indeed, J2. Okay, all the speaker cards that have been turned in are actually for item J2, so we will hold those for the next item that comes up. Are there any commenters online that wish to speak on non-agenda items tonight?
There are no attendees that would like to speak at this moment.
Okay, great. Now I'd like to move to ex parte communications. This section is intended to allow all officials the opportunity to reveal any disclosure of any ex parte communications about the following public hearings. Commissioner Light, have you had any ex parte communications?
Nothing to
report. Commissioner Boswell,
Nothing.
Commissioner Young.
Mrs. Young?
I'm sorry, we were still Commissioner. You're Commissioner.
Can't be Mr. Young. No.
Okay, Commissioner Gaddis,
None.
Mr. Conroy.
I had conversations with Councilmember Obaji and Councilmember Page. Cooter.
Telejurovich.
Thank you.
Commissioner
I
Hazelton.
had conversation with Councilperson Obaji and the general public, and that's it. Oh, and Commissioner Craig, Chair Craig.
Okay. I had, as Commissioner Hazeltine mentioned, I had communication with her, council members Obaji, Barrett, and some members of the general public. Very good. And since we are starting on item J2, this is a public hearing for consideration of an exemption declaration and conditional use permit to allow for the operation of a gymnastics company, Aerial Gymnastics Club, for children and teenagers ages 2 to 17 within an existing 24,000 square foot commercial space on property located at 2701 Manhattan Beach Boulevard in the commercial C1 zone. And I believe staff, we have a presentation on that.
Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Stephen Gang. I'll be presenting tonight's item to allow the operation of a gymnastics company for children and teenagers ages 2 to 17 within existing 24,000 square feet commercial space in the C1 zone. The subject property is located on the north side of Manhattan Beach Boulevard and west of Inglewood Avenue. The site itself is zoned C1. Properties to the north are zoned industrial I1. Properties to the west are zoned industrial IC or industrial commercial IC1. Properties to the south contain a mixture of single-family residential, commercial, and school facility zones. The city of Lawndale also abuts the property to the east. The site itself contains two two-way driveways on Inglewood Avenue and 3 two-way driveways on Manhattan Beach Boulevard. The tenant space itself is 24,000 square feet. Here is a closer look at the proposed space. It's located kind of in the back corner of the lot. The tenant space itself was previously occupied by a 99 cents only store. The proposed business offers gymnastics, cheer, dance, ninja classes, seasonal day camps, and birthday events. The proposed business hours are 9 a.m. to 8 p.m. Monday through Thursday, 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. on Friday, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. on Saturday, and 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. on Sunday. The number of participants will range from 6 students up to 20 when it's for classes. And then there are scheduled birthday events or birthday blocks on the weekends that will have around 30 to 40 people, which includes the parents and the kids. Each day is scheduled to have a set number of classes. They range from 45 to 60 minutes each, and there's going to be about a 15-minute period in between each class so that it allows for the transition of students and parents between each session. The proposed space contains a variety of equipment and activities. They're proposing 2 floor exercise areas, 6 balance beams, 2 tumbling strips, 1 foam pit, 5 sets of uneven bars, 1 obstacle course, 1 rock wall, climbing ropes, and 2 exercise rooms. Additionally, there is a small second floor office for this use that will be used for administrative purposes. The site itself contains a total of 223 parking spaces. Analysis of the operations plan, the existing 24,000 square foot spaces requires, as proposed, 26 parking spaces, 5 for employees and 21 for parents and students, or students and parents. The gymnastics studio also intends to use both the rear and front entrances, which will help alleviate congestion and crowding at the front of the studio during peak hours. An analysis performed by staff indicates that all of the uses on site, including the proposed use, would require a total of 150 parking spaces according to the Redondo Beach Municipal Code. Since the site itself has an inventory of 223 spaces, the available parking areas provide sufficient parking for the proposed use and all existing uses on the site. Staff has determined that based on the operation proposed, that the parking is adequate for the site. Here are some photos that was taken on Wednesday at 12. The top photo is the rear lot. So 26 spaces exist here and are dedicated to the proposed use for either employees and both parents and students should they want to use the rear drop off. And this is a picture of the site, the front parking lot at the same time. Staff is of the opinion that the proposed use meets the criteria for conditional use permit. The property is adequate in size and shape. The existing driveways provide adequate access. There's enough parking on site. Additional conditions have been added to detail the number of hours that the use occur entirely within the interior space, and that the applicant is responsible for obtaining an acoustical design analysis and to implement all sound control design recommendations in the tenant improvement plans when they are submitted to the Building and Safety Division for plan check. Based on the findings, staff recommends that the Planning Commission open the public hearing, take testimony, close the public hearing, and make a determination regarding the exemption declaration and the conditional use permit for the operation of a gymnastics company, also known as Aerial Gymnastics Club, for children, teenagers ages 2 to 17, within an existing 24,000 square feet commercial space on property located at 2701 Manhattan Beach Boulevard in the commercial C1 zone. This concludes staff presentation, and the applicant and staff are available for any questions.
Very good. Should we do a motion to open the public hearing?
Second. Motion to open the public hearing.
Second.
Okay, very good. Any questions for staff?
Sure. So there was concerns about safety in the back lot, is that correct?
From one of the public comments, I believe the concern was more congestion along the front of the lot. From the public comments, there were concerns about traffic and congestion and whether or not parent-student drop-off was going to be affected.
Oh, okay. I thought I also saw something regarding possible transient activity along the back. No?
I'm not too sure, but on my site visit, I did not witness any of that.
Oh, we cured that problem.
Okay, if, all right, then, that's fine.
Okay. Now, I guess right now, is there anyone here that wishes to speak on this item, the applicant or anyone else in the audience? Can you please stand up if you're going to speak on the, can we please? Yeah, applicant? Very good. So okay, we need to swear you in if you want to speak on the topic. You just swear to, yeah, you could just stand at the back. Do you just swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Yes. Thank you very much.
Come on up.
You can come on up. And please state your name for the recorder. Thanks.
Hello, my name is Faustino Gomez IV, and I do have an issue with the security that he didn't mention. A couple months ago, I took my 6-year-old daughter to a jiu-jitsu facility right in that same complex. Actually, my wife took her first, and then I met with her like a half an hour later during the training. And I did see a homeless person that seems out of sights or out of wits. So we never went back because I didn't want my wife taking my 6-year-old daughter to a place that seemed unsafe. And then when I did park there, it took me a while to park. I have been there at night using the Shell gas station. Later on, that's usually my mode to go on the 405. And I have seen the parking lot's dark and it does feel a little unsafe. Other than that, that's all I have to say.
Okay.
So I'm a little confused. You're not actually the applicant. You're just, you're speaking against the gymnastics place or for?
What I really want is more police surveillance, because whenever I'm there, it feels unsafe. It seems like it's right next to the freeway. There's a lot of homeless people. It feels like there's no police presence. And I would not want my daughter and my wife to be there without me.
Okay, so you would be participating in the class, or you're just commenting on the parking lot? I'm so confused.
Both,
Did he say
sorry.
he was the
I thought
applicant?
you were the applicant, I'm
I
sorry.
think he's
Yeah.
bringing a security
What
issue
kind of
to our
applicant?
attention.
You're
I
the
wrote,
applicant.
I wrote
Okay, come on up.
I wrote, is that not?
Okay, now I'm clear. Now I'm clear.
Sorry, I wrote on a
Yes.
piece of paper. Does that not make me an applicant?
No, it makes you,
we're talking
yeah,
about the
perfect.
application for
But
the
that's-
applicant for the
I'm
senior.
That's okay,
sorry.
it's no problem.
I'm
It's fine,
so
it's
sorry.
fine, it's fine.
No
I
problem.
thought I applied to speak. Is that
Yeah,
what that
no,
meant?
this is good time for you to speak.
Okay.
Okay.
No problem.
Okay.
Very good.
Okay, perfect.
So I guess we should, I guess,
That would be his 3 minutes, I would
I guess, yeah, we'd count for the
Yeah,
3 minutes.
They didn't put a timer on him,
Yeah.
so he's
Sorry about that.
Okay.
motion to extend, and I have a question.
Okay.
Second.
Second.
Go ahead.
So you're mainly up here informing the planning commission that there is, in your opinion, a security issue. You have concerns about the security in the general region around this potential new business. I doubt that no matter what we say or do is going to increase police presence there because we just don't have enough police. But perhaps the landowner, the owner of the shopping center could be providing some security. I mean, it's not like we don't see private security guards all over the place. Are there any of those there?
No, there was not.
So that's perhaps something that the city needs to take up with the owner of the property. But thank you for bringing that to our attention. There are certainly homeless everywhere, and not all of them are dangerous, but you just don't know, do you? So,
Correct.
thank you.
Very good. So should we have the applicant come up and speak at this point?
You can't compel them to do it, I don't.
Yeah,
think.
if they want to
So,
speak, okay, you're right, okay. Very good, I think that's the end of your time, I guess.
Thank you.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
Thank you for speaking. So I guess we're going to public comment then?
Well, it's public
Yeah,
comment.
it's not, yeah.
You're there.
We're there already, so I guess I should do the cards at this point.
Well,
Let's just say we should have the applicant.
do
come
any
up.
of us have questions for the applicant?
Let's go through the applicant, please come up and state your name. And have you already been sworn in? I don't remember. Okay. Can you,
John Snyder.
thank you, John. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Thank you very much. Anyone have any questions for the applicant? Mr. Conroy, Commissioner Conroy.
Okay. Keeping on that same theme as far as security in the back, I thought I'd read something about that. Let me ask you this. I'm sorry, what was your name again?
John.
John.
Yeah.
John, based on security concerns you've heard and maybe other ones you're aware of, would you be willing to provide exterior lighting and security camera coverage for that backlot area?
Yeah, absolutely. That's part of the overall plan for us moving in. We have security. We currently have a gym in Torrance, aerial gymnastics on Hawthorne Boulevard. We have security on the exterior, lighting on the exterior. We have security cameras full out throughout the gym because of the type of business that it is. And we have a rule in-house with our company that no single person's at the gym by themselves at one time. We have a lot of female coaches, staff, and so it's always a two-person event. It's whenever they're locking up at night, it's two people. When they're coming in the morning, it's two people. Even during the day, sometimes they get in early, they take care of some tasks, they have a class, the class breaks, and like say a 10 o'clock class. Even then, nobody's, even during the day, say at 10 o'clock, 11, 12 o'clock, we don't permit anyone to be in the gym by themselves. Obviously customers, but employees.
Wonderful.
I freaked in that area, I grew up in this area. I didn't really, there's homeless, there's transient people, as everybody knows, throughout Southern California. It's unfortunate occurrence, but it's a situation that I don't think is any more present there than anywhere else throughout the area, honestly.
I'm happy to hear that you're willing to do your part to maximize the safety in the back lot through
Yeah, absolutely.
adequate lighting and security cameras in that area.
Very good. Any other questions from Mr. Boswell? Mr. Boswell.
Commissioner Boswell, to you.
That's what I said.
Thank you. Again, in regards to security, do you have a formal procedure developed or in place at your Torrance store that you're going to apply here also in regards to people dropping off and picking up their kids, as far as kids cannot leave without an adult coming in and getting them, that kind of thing?
Yeah, that's the way it is at the gym. No kids go running out in the parking lot. Kids are not allowed to leave the gym after the event's over. We have a gated area. This would be the same situation here. Gated area that contains all that equipment that you see that the kids go through classes. We're talking, 4, 5, 6-year-old kids, 7-year-old kids. So through all ages, but that's a big group of our customer base is that. And it's a gated, just a tall, short little 3-4 foot gate that opens and closes during the class period. It's closed, children come out, the parents and the child are there at the same time. No other child. We've had situations where maybe a parent dropped off a kid for a class, brought them in, signed them in. They all have to be signed in and marked off. It's a roll so that we know, because we also have a situation where kids may not make that class, they get a credit, get a token to be able to make that class up at some future date. So we take a roll for every class. So after the kids dropped off, we've had situations where maybe a parent ran an errand or something like that. The child's there in the gym, not permitted to leave until a parent-child connection is made.
And what's your procedure to assure that the person picking them up is indeed a family member?
Well, a lot of them are recognized as mother, father, typically 99% of the time, mostly grandchild, but there's a list of people that are approved to be able to pick the child up. They have to sign a paper at the beginning when they register for classes. There's a list that goes with each child for a recognized person that's allowed to pick them up. So if it was somebody that we obviously wouldn't recognize, you get to know everybody and you know whose parents are whose and that sort of thing. If it was somebody we wouldn't recognize, we'd have to check the list. wouldn't be able to release that child to the parent or to that person until we spoke with the parent or the parent came themselves to pick the child up.
Have you ever had any issues at your Torrance facility or any others related to security?
Probably the worst thing we've had is, we have cameras outside. So in the middle of the night, we had some large, vase type planter containers. In the middle of the night, somebody came by and pushed those over and broke them. Other than that, we've never had a police report or a police incident at the Torrance location. We've been there for about 4 years.
Okay.
I have a question.
Commissioner Light?
I live real close to that area, and I've been in that lot a lot.
Yeah.
Not to the 99-cent store, but when it was there, it was quite crowded. You're obviously going to have less cars, it sounds like, than 99-cent stores. I don't see that as a big issue. I am curious, though, about there's back parking. I've lived there since 2003, and I didn't know there was back parking. How do you even get there?
Neither did I.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you come in, when you come off of the Inglewood entrance, when you come in the Inglewood entrance, right to the right is there's a driveway, you take that drive. So that area back there originally was for tractor trailers, right? Coming in to drop off to the 99-cent store.
Oh.
So they needed a swing around area. So there's actually even, if required, there would be even additional parking back there required, right? I'm by trade, I'm an electrical contractor. I'm the applicant, but in reality, my wife and my daughter run that company. So I filled out I take care of the build out portion because of my background in the gym. So electrical contractor, and we can definitely put in lighting or any cameras, security, anything that would be required to make sure everybody's safe.
Sure. Commissioner Geddes?
Yeah, so the entrance is not from the rear at all. The entrance is from I'll call it the Gaucho side because the Gaucho market is right there. Okay. And so if somebody is parking in the back there, they come around the building, or is there?
So there's an entrance exit at the back there.
Okay.
As well.
Okay.
So what we're trying to do is kind of have staff in the back as much as possible. I mean, it's not real convenient for parents to necessarily come to the back and drop the child off and that, but we wanted smooth operation up front. We don't want to come in and cause a conflict with the other tenants inside the plaza. That's why we were under, suggested that we could have people come in the back. The parent could drop the child off at front, swing around the front, drop the child off, which is what the dojo does that's currently there. They have children's classes till, I think they end at 6:30 or 7 o'clock at night. Parents drop off the kids and then can go park. So parents could drop off the kid, go park, and come in that back entrance to watch their child in the class.
Okay. And is it I guess I should have looked at it more closely. Is that a loading dock in the back, or is it?
There is a loading dock in the back, but to the side of the loading, there's two entrances in the back. On one side, there's a ramp, appears to be possibly a handicap ramp, I'm not sure. And then on the other side, near where the power lines are, there's a ramp there as well.
Okay. I can picture it. Thank you.
Yeah.
Are there any other questions? Commissioner Conroy?
Your schedule shows birthday parties of up to 40 guests overlapping with your weekend classes. Is that correct?
No, it wouldn't. So we usually end classes. So if it shows that, that's a mistake. I didn't think I had that.
Maybe I misunderstood.
Yeah.
That's how I understood
So the
it.
class ends, usually there's a half an hour window for us because we actually have to set up for the birthday party. We have to set up the chairs and things like, we can't do that while classes are going on. So typically the class would end. We have a half an hour or so grace period, and then we'd set up whatever decorations the parents had brought or whatever it is. And then we limit the parties to 25 kids max. It was 20. We've limited 25 kids max at the parties.
A total of 40 guests?
Yeah.
Okay.
Usually it's about 40 people. Yeah.
Here's the question I had. Do you allow more than one of those parties at a time?
No.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
we can't, no. because you have to use the gym, so you'd have
I get it.
25
I
kids
get
out
it.
there.
I'm
and
just
you'd-
thinking
you'd have
about-
50 kids out there.
I'm just thinking about the
Yeah.
amount of people and
For-
cars and
yeah.
everything that could be happening at one time. So,
Birthday party, I mean, they kind of know better than I do, but birthday parties aren't necessarily a big moneymaker. I mean, we usually have one or two on the weekends, you know. Usually a Saturday, one on a Saturday, one on a Sunday. Sometimes we'll have a back-to-back on a Sunday or something like that. But typically it's 1 to 2 a weekend. Saturday.
but
one
in no
Saturday,
instance would you be having two at the
Nah.
same time?
Nah.
Okay,
Jim couldn't accommodate it.
Very good.
that's all I have.
Excellent. Any other questions around? No? Great. Thank you very much.
Okay, I filled out one of those cards, so I thought that you guys were gonna go through those cards and call up, so that's,
Oh, we still are.
Okay.
We just haven't got to that point.
Okay.
do this
all
time.
right.
Yeah,
Okay.
we kind of got a little bit discombobulated there. So at any rate, I guess I did anyway. So I guess now we go to cards, I guess. First speaker I have for J2 is Emily Lopez. Can you please come up and speak? Thank you.
Yeah, we did.
But there wasn't anybody.
Close the hearing before
No,
we do that?
no, it's
Or
public.
It's still public comment, yeah. It's still public comment. We don't do that till after that.
Hi, everyone.
Please
Hi.
speak
My
your
name is Emily
I'm
Lopez.
sorry, please speak
I'm
your name in the
sorry?
microphone so they can record it.
Oh, okay.
You just speak your name, thank you.
Now?
Yeah.
Okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Emily Lopez. I'm a resident for the Redondo Beach for more than 20 years, and my main concern is about the traffic. I've been driving those streets for a long time, and as it is right now, is really bad. Sometimes it takes me 30 minutes to get home from the freeway. When I get off of the freeway and I get home, it's really bad. Now, it get more traffic with these places that they come in, it's gonna be worse. So that's my main concern right now. I really don't want more traffic. It's stressing me out, all the traffic. And, every time I try to get home early, I can't. So, 99-cent store have traffic, but go back and forth. You go and buy something, and then you get out in 10 minutes, 30 minutes maximum. And this place they're gonna put in there is gonna be more traffic because the cars, they're gonna be there for more than an hour. And then the parking lot is gonna be full. Sometimes when I go to 99-cent store, there's no spaces to park. I did not know about the parking lot on the back until you guys mentioned it right now. But believe me, it's really bad. I've been here for more than 20 years and traffic is awful. So I please, try to do something because you guys know how is the traffic in Los Angeles. So imagine Redondo Beach with that traffic, it's gonna be a chaos. So that's what I wanna say. Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah, all right.
Next speaker card I have is, I believe it's Tino Gomez. Oh, you already spoke? Okay, thank you very much. Next speaker I have is John Snyder, who I believe already spoke. So, indeed.
Did he want to speak his own spiel? Because we only asked him questions.
Unless he has anything else he wants to add to it, I mean.
You can only speak once, though.
Do you have anything else to say?
Can I wait?
Sure.
Yeah. You can. Next speaker I have is Jeff Widmana. Thank you.
Thank you. I might be able to add a little bit just as far as the security, but that wasn't really my main issue. I've been a
state
resident
your
of
name?
Redondo.
I'm sorry, can you please state your name? I'm sorry.
I'm
Just for
sorry,
the record.
Jeff Widman.
Thank you.
Okay. So as far as this, I've been a resident of Redondo Beach since 1978. So various locations throughout Redondo Beach. Right now I live at 414 Sierra Vista Drive. As far as security, we do own a business here in Redondo Beach, and that area I'm very familiar with. I had a storage there. I was hit 3 times. And the problem with that area isn't that, there's homeless everywhere. You're going to have that problem anywhere. It's just because you're on the border of another city and you have a public right-of-way with a railroad, you have a public right-of-way with a freeway, you have a lot of area to be exploited. That's all. So it actually is kind of a high density transient area because of that. It's exploited even on, you can see it if you go up Washington Boulevard in LA. One side is Culver City, and one side is LA. The entire LA side is 100% tents as far as the eye can see. Okay, so Lawndale is probably less inclined to enforce than possibly Redondo Beach. That being said, right now on Inglewood, it's two light cycles to get through that intersection. And the gymnastics center is going to have people dropping off and picking up at the same time. Right now, even with the standalone on Hawthorne Boulevard, Ariel has traffic backed up to Lomita Boulevard, and people going out and people trying to get in. At least 20 to 40%, maybe, it's just a guess, of the people are going to be sitting in their cars for that hour, doing their work or texting or whatever. They aren't going to be going in and then going in and picking up their kids. So you're going to have this line of cars waiting to drop off. At the same time, people are coming to pick up from the last session. So say 30 kids an hour to 50 kids an hour. This is a huge facility. So 50 is probably not even under. You're going to have 50 cars come in. Nobody carpools. 50 cars come in, 50 cars come out. So you have 100 cars going in and out, basically at the same time. And another issue with this is the time. You know, the prime time for gymnastics is rush hour. So on Inglewood and Manhattan Beach Boulevard. So you have this line of cars going in and cars going out. I don't know how that can be solved in an area like this. That's why most of these gymnastics centers are in.
Motion to extend?
Are in just.
I'm sorry, motion to extend.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Please continue. You have 30 more seconds.
Just basically are in standalone locations. The Ariel and Hawthorne is a standalone. Fit Kids is standalone. It's in pretty much an industrial location where everybody's gone by the time their prime time classes start. Flight School in Torrance is on Van Ness. It's in basically a standalone in an industrial area. Rise Gymnastics, they're all basically kind of standalone or in these, basically less trafficky areas. So that's basically all I wanted to say. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And the last speaker card I have here is Chris Olson. And please state your name so we can have you on record. Thank you.
Chris Olson. I've got a little bit to go through, so if I would be able to be entitled to one extra minute too, that would help me a lot. I'm not going to go over the topics that were already brought up by the people who oppose this. I will say, though, I'm in full agreement, and I agree with everything they say as being true. I've been operating a gymnastics center 400 feet from that location for the past 16 years. I know that parking lot better than anyone. They're all correct. Especially now, the other part is that, let's see, I've got a note here. The back parking lot. The back parking lot, basically, in my opinion, is nothing more than a glorified alley that comes in both ways. It's a long way. It's more than 1/10 of a mile, the length of it, to get to where the parking lot is. It's at night, it's dark. I drove through there the other night, dark. I'm not just talking about the area where the people park, I'm talking about along the way too. And so that is a concern of mine. When that building became available, I was one of the first to know about it. I went and I looked it over and I decided it was not a good fit for my customers. I thought they deserved better. And so it's an open space that means anybody, whether they're in their right mind or not, has the 100% right to go onto that property. It's not private property, it's open space, and there's a difference. The jiu-jitsu school, one of my customers told me that last weekend, they were having class in the morning. A guy walked in, opened the door, started yelling into the school. Unfortunately, he wasn't in his right mind. Then he closed the door and walked off. So it does happen out there, and that man had the legal right to be there at that time. So that's how I feel about it. But there is one more thing I would like to bring up. I recently came across some publicly available information that might be of interest to the commission regarding this CUP application itself. I have here a copy of the spreadsheet that was provided with the staff report. You all got a copy of this.
Yep.
I ran the numbers on how many classes would be there and how many students would be there if everything was maxed out, 630 students per week. Okay, doesn't sound too bad, does it? Online, I found some information on a website called askforfunding.com, and the title was Aerial Gymnastics Club, gymnastics facility expanding to a second and third location. The numbers here that they're representing do not match anywhere near these numbers. I brought a copy for the commission if they'd like to read it. I've made it very short and sweet. I've highlighted it. It'll take about a minute. Are you interested?
Sure.
You can receive and file, or give
And I
it
have a
to.
copy for staff
Motion to
also.
receive and file.
Time.
Second.
All in favor?
Motion to
Aye.
extend.
Aye.
And motion extend?
Second.
Aye. All in favor?
All right.
Aye.
I'll give it to you.
Yeah, you give it to him.
8 enough?
Yeah.
And do I want one for staff? 2?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know that we can, yeah,
Okay,
this
that's
has
okay.
not
Let's just
been
go. Keep going.
disclosed to the public in advance, so
Well,
is
this
this?
receive and file. So he's just submitting that.
We don't have to speak to it.
Yeah, he just submitted it to receive and file.
I
So if
believe
you-
this is information that was offered to investors regarding the operation of the company.
No, it's a different thing that we're.
So if the commission wants to extend the speaker's
gave him
time and
another
allow him to speak to this, he can. It's not agendized, it's not something that we're going to go through the merits of at this meeting.
Correct.
Right.
Commissioner Boswell?
So I could
No,
probably
wait.
connect the dots.
Wait, he's still speaking with his
Oh.
time, though?
No,
Well,
but
I
we
was going to ask him a
can't,
clarification
we can't
question,
have conversation
With
during a
the speaker,
public,
correct.
we're not supposed to communicate.
like we did with the first guy.
He was the applicant, that's a little different. Public comment, we don't have.
First guy
Applicant.
was not the applicant. He was talking about the security.
We were trying to figure out who he was.
Yeah, we thought he was the applicant at that point.
You can
He
ask
said
him
he
a
was.
question. You can't
Anyway.
discuss what he just gave
No,
us.
you
'cause it's
cannot
gonna be-
ask
I'm
him
not going to.
questions.
Anyway,
You are
okay,
not
I
allowed
guess
to
hopefully you give us some more clarification as to where that's going.
Sure, I'd be glad. I'll just read a couple of sentences off of this, and it'll make it very clear, if you don't mind. We have secured a second location at 2701 Manhattan Beach Boulevard in Redondo Beach, former 99-cent store. Our goal for student signups at this location is approximately 1,500 to 2,000 students. Our new location is at Manhattan Beach Boulevard and Inglewood Avenue. This is the interesting part here. As stated, the new facility will be 24,000 square feet. We will have a gymnastics program of 1,500 to 2,000 rec students, a team program of approximately 100 students, a cheer program of approximately 400 to 500 students, a cheer team with approximately 120 students, a dance program with approximately 200 to 300 students, a ninja program with 200 to 300 students.
Time.
Motion to extend.
Can I get a second?
Thank you.
I'm sorry?
And I will leave it at that with one final statement.
I'm sorry, we didn't get a second for that.
Oh, I'm
We wanted
sorry.
approval. But we appreciate your time. Thank you very much.
Sorry for interrupting. Finally,
No, sir,
I-
I'm sorry, we cannot continue. We did not get a motion to extend, so your time is up.
oh, I'm sorry, I saw the speaker timer and it's still
That
green.
was inadvertently put up, but
Oh,
there
okay.
was not a second made by the
Well-
commission. But thank you very much. I appreciate your time.
Thank you. The numbers don't match.
Okay. That's all the speaker cards I have. Are there any other speakers who, present who wish to come up and talk? I guess I can let them do that now. Yeah, come on up. And
Sorry, Wanda
please
Wade.
state your name again, Mr.
John
Snyder.
Snyder.
Thank you.
So basically, I wanted, do you guys, is this a period of time where you guys would ask questions, or is this just
Talk
my
to you
speaking?
now.
You
Okay.
get to talk.
So tonight, basically what you're seeing is we've tried to secure this location at for aerial gymnastics. And from the beginning, what we had is a influencer online post who was a previous student of Fit Kids and a coach at Fit Kids, post on her social media that she was going to attempt to keep us from occupying that particular space because she didn't agree with us being that close to Fit Kids Gymnastics. She has about 100,000 followers. She left a link online for them to follow. She also left a link to a Google Apps and a write-up that people could use to protest the site or oppose the site. Danielle Gray is the name of the gymnast. The proximity to Fit Kids is the issue. I don't believe that there's really any true issue with security or parking or any other issue that is legitimate. I think it comes down to the fact that Fit Kids Gymnastics is 2 properties away. If our area is unsafe, I would think that area would be unsafe. If our area has transients, I would think that area has transients just as well.
It's Scott, right?
John.
John, I'm
John.
sorry. I do, are these all of your teachers? In
Pardon?
the blue, are these, oh, no.
No, that's Fit Kids.
Oh, okay.
Everybody here's Fit Kids. There's 3 of us, 4
I
of us,
get-
5 of us
Okay,
from aerial gymnastics.
I gotcha.
So I think a lot of what you're seeing, and I don't know what you guys have there in regards to the other that he's speaking about, but we're held to basically what we submitted to the city and put that in for the city. We have our class schedules. We have everything laid out. We have everything there to go. But the Fit Kids owner, Chris, who you just saw, took it upon himself to also put an email blast out to his own customers to get them to come down to protest or oppose for aerial gymnastics to take over the property. So that's pretty much all I had to say.
Well, in response to this, you didn't see this. It says that there's a statement.
I'm sorry,
We can't
we can't engage
We
in
can
a
only
conversation
deal
at
with
this point.
publicly available information.
Right.
Okay. Well, can we find out if they wrote this?
Well,
Then it has to be public. We'd have to
we
roll
can't
it to
consider that
another
in
night.
our deliberations tonight.
Then why are we looking at it?
Wait,
He just submitted it just to receive and file.
Okay.
if this rolls over to another meeting, maybe it could be used, but we have to go on information that's publicly available.
So you have a maximum number, which is 600 that you're anticipating in this.
So, I mean, yeah, Steve and I worked on it together. So whatever that number was from those classes, it's similar to the same thing that we're doing in Torrance. Similar class structures.
Similar student numbers?
Pardon?
Similar student numbers?
Yeah, I mean, same, six kids per class, 1 teacher. We don't go anything over that. Sometimes actually even 2 teachers with the 6 kids, or if there's some kids don't show up, then we'll group a couple kids together, groups together with a single coach.
Mhm. Additional question, or does somebody else want to go?
Anyone else or not?
Okay, then come back.
Okay, please go ahead.
Okay, so there's been discussion about this back lot, and I think even you said it's primarily you were thinking of using it as an employee lot. Certainly, if you don't make it inviting to your clients, your customers, they're not going to make use of it. So I was
Right.
just curious, in addition to the lighting and the cameras, would you be willing to modify that back entrance to make it the same size as the front entrance and maybe?
Yeah, I don't know about the same size as the front entrance as far as the room to do it, but we definitely want to clean up the back. And that's part of the negotiations with the lease that we've already signed with the owner to clean up that back area because it was so industrial looking and everything like that. There's a fencing that's back there, and then on top of the fencing is some aluminum corrugated metal. We want to remove all that, remove the remove the fencing, put up new fencing across that back area. And there's this, we've been looking at different products, but there's almost like this grass or lattice looking type stuff that you're able to put through fences now that really makes it, because my other concern is graffiti. Like I don't want any graffiti on the building or anything back there. So our thought process was with this grass, it'll help keep their ability to be able to graffiti in the back there.
Perhaps, but I'm just thinking for safety, if you're really the only tenant there that's using that back lot,
Right.
you don't have as much cross traffic from everybody else that's in the front lot,
Right.
right? You got little kids that can walk with more safety is what I'm thinking. So
Yeah.
if we can't, if the planning department can't require it or this body can't require it, I would recommend that you make use of that back entrance.
We want to clean it up, make it look presentable and safe and everything back there, and add in additional lighting. That's what I do.
Are you concerned about having another gym two doors down?
No, they are though.
Okay.
I think we deliver a better product. I think that's the concern. Well, I mean, you asked me, so you're asking me.
I'm just asking if you were concerned about them being so close. Okay, thank you.
There's a lot of kids in the area. We have the Olympics
And
coming.
people say young families can't afford to live here. We continually see evidence to the contrary. Can we make that in the official record and draw on it next time we have a complaint about pricing? So anyway, in regards to the traffic issues, I seem to recall, and I don't remember where this was in the presentation or in the write-up here. You have about a 15-minute period between classes that allows people to leave before new people arrive.
Correct.
In your experience, and honestly, because you are under oath, how has that been working? Do you have crunches?
So that's why we needed to expand into a bigger area where you have more exits and more entrances, right? There's 5 at that property. Our existing
Driveways.
Huh?
Driveways.
Yeah. Mhm. And if you go through, you can also exit out through the gas station. Our existing location, we have a similar load with classes with that, actually probably a little bit less. We have 35 parking spaces and people work it out. We've had backup on Hawthorne Boulevard. I've never seen it backed up to Lomita. We're there every day. People come in and out. It's one entrance in, one exit out. There's not multiple ways to get back there. You have entrances off of Manhattan Beach Boulevard, and you have entrances off of Inglewood Avenue. So I don't see the concern for the traffic flow into the parking lot or out of the parking lot.
Sounds less than the typical Chick-fil-A.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
So do the math for me. How many sessions per day, per open hours, would you have?
So I think it's, if I can go off of memory, I think it's 4 sessions. So let's say it's 5 o'clock, right? Your first class starts, it's 4 groups of 6 kids. So it's about 24 kids in there. Similar to a birthday party, similar to like the birthday party. It's kind of the same idea. So you have beam, you have floor, you have vault, and you have bars. So each group is 6 because at that age, it's difficult to wrangle 6 kids together. So you have an instructor with those 6 kids. One starts on floor, beam, vault, and bars, and they just rotate around. And that's what they do for the 45 minutes. Then they get a sticker. We sign them out to their parents, and the new group comes in for the next class. We have to set up. They've used the equipment. They move things around. Age groups vary, so there's different equipment that goes with that age group that maybe you'll bring in and set up to allow for the next class to use. So we need that window of time, not necessarily just for the parents, but for ourselves as well to be able to set up for the next class.
Okay. Good. Are there any other questions before we move on? Commissioner White?
So I didn't expect this to be this controversial.
Neither did I.
But now I see why. It's a competitor, and it seems like it's an organized opposition to you because they're a competitor. So I'm going to try to stay out of that. There is the concern that they bring up that I have experienced myself living right there, that Inglewood street at Manhattan Beach Boulevard does back up, and at rush hour, it's a nightmare. So is there any thought to having a period where, or is it even possible to not contribute to that? Or have you thought of any way of, because you're going to have trouble getting people there on time during that hours. Maybe it wouldn't be the best time to have that 4 to 6 o'clock classes there. Has that something you've thought about? Because I think it's going to make, speaking of a product, it's going to make it tougher to sell that product. So I do see that as a potential problem. Otherwise, I don't see the numbers of vehicles there, the parking spots. Yes, it's a crowded parking lot, but you could always find a parking spot there, even with the 99-cent store at all hours of the day. The only legitimate concern I would have is that rush hour on Inglewood and that entrance. And it's not so bad at Manhattan Beach. So maybe that's the alternative and that you can encourage. But I do think if you do get this thing going, that you will need to have a plan during that hour, those 2 rush hours, to make it more accessible to your facility.
Yeah, we're hoping the local community too, in that area, be able to attend the classes, cut down on the traffic.
Commissioner Boswell, you have another question?
So to piggyback onto that, I imagine that you were looking for a facility of a certain size that was available for, reasonable price.
Correct.
This is perhaps it. Did you do any further research prior to asking my question? Any further research as to where your students are going to come from geographically?
Yeah, so we currently, because we have our gym in Torrance, we have a backlog of students that aren't able to get in. The popularity of the school down there, we're hoping this helps to alleviate that as well at that particular location. So we have clientele coming from Lawndale, Hawthorne, El Segundo, Manhattan Beach, Redondo Beach. Most of our, in that Torrance area, a lot of the population is from PV. They come down off the hill and a lot of them attend those classes. So we were hoping that would open up for them, for that community, and this would be for the Redondo Beach community, Manhattan Beach, the Beach City communities to be able to go there. We've looked at the difficulty in gymnastics is finding everything together, right? You need high spaces, no beams, no columns can be coming down. You need high ceiling, right? You need, because of the vast amount of the equipment that goes with it, you need a certain amount of area. It's difficult finding a place. We've had 3 other places. El Segundo, we were beat out by a pickleball company that beat us out on that one. We had a place on Hawthorne Boulevard right by 190. It used to be the Boot Barn. That place fell through because I wanted conditions in it that they couldn't sell the property. They said they didn't have any intentions of selling it, but it was owned by a 90-year-old lady. And then shortly after that fell through, they actually did sell the building. And then we had another location over by City Hall in Torrance. Used to be the S-Mart. There's a Asian market that was down there. And we were the subleasees to Grocery Outlet. And Grocery Outlet has gone back and forth with the owners for well over a year and a half. We finally gave up on that area when this became available. And it provides enough distance between the 2 areas for us as far as the surrounding area for traffic and everything else. That was the reason why we picked it. Some of the other places were in industrial park areas.
Let me just break in and say, I'm familiar with the struggle that businesses have in establishing a location. It's never fun.
No.
But what I'm getting at is in your location, just about anybody coming from Manhattan Beach is going to be coming down Manhattan Beach Boulevard. And this traffic on Inglewood is not going to be an issue. They're going to be going against traffic. Most of the traffic is heading west if they're on Manhattan Beach Boulevard. And as far as Inglewood, at that time of day, it's getting off the freeway and going south. Because anybody going north isn't going to be a problem for you. It's a horrible F-rated intersection. And I have sworn at it many a times when I've been stuck there. And when the train used to go by every hour, the traffic would be backed up past Artesia. That's 2.5 miles. So traffic being backed up is something that the South Bay has a history of. Adding another 20, 30 cars probably won't even be noticeable. it'll still be awful.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
not so much more than you'll have people driving by cursing the gymnastics school for doing this. And it just seems to me that only a small percentage of your students are going to be coming south on Inglewood, which is the real problem traffic-wise.
Right.
And it's only until you get to that short period between the freeway and Manhattan Beach Boulevard. It's about a, 300-yard stretch.
Yeah.
How bad could that be? Well, depends on how many lights you have to sit through, because they are long lights. Anybody that is going to your other school to the south of you and coming north on Inglewood is also going against traffic and not causing an issue at that time of day. So I'm, because of my familiarity for a long time living off of Inglewood and having to drive that street for 30 years, any additional business along Inglewood is going to create more traffic.
Yeah.
But depending on what direction you're from, and it sounds like a good percentage of your students aren't going to be coming from the traffic-y direction, I don't have a problem.
Right.
Very good. Any other questions, or are we? Please go ahead, Commissioner Young.
How much bigger is this facility than your one in Torrance?
It's about 3 times as big.
Okay.
We have a lot of stuff crammed into that little gym. Like, we don't have a true vault runway area where they can run. That'll provide it for us. We don't have that type of situation. It's important. Our floor isn't a true sized floor. Like, it's supposed to be a certain size, and it's not. We've had to adjust it to get it to fit in. That was our first place. We were just happy to have somebody actually even lease it to us. We were doing gymnastics outside at that time. So this location lets us spread out and not be so packed on top of each other.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Are there any other individuals online who wish to comment, or?
There are no attendees that would like to speak at this time.
Very good. Can I get a motion to close public hearing?
Motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Now, should we
Okay.
start the discussion?
Sorry, staff has one
sorry.
clarification we'd like to make.
I'm sorry.
Staff has a minor clarification we'd like to make to add.
Okay, go ahead.
To provide some extra clarity on what was discussed, condition number 5 of the attached resolution does direct parents, employees, and students to utilize the rear parking north of the attendance space and the pickup loading zone at the rear. Additionally, our Building and Safety Division reviewed the proposal, and they will be requiring updates to that rear loading dock, including updates to the ramp to make it ADA accessible, the siding changes, the overall making it so that because it's a change in use occupancy, the building code standards are higher for the rear loading dock, so they will require additional tenant improvements to that dock so that it can be more hospitable to students and parents.
And that'll have to be in place before they open?
Correct. It's a requirement of the tenant improvement permit, so the permit will not be issued until the applicant demonstrates that.
And that's already in there, so we don't need a condition, right?
For the rear loading dock, yes, that's already in there as
Okay.
condition number 5.
Okay, I missed it.
Very good. Any other discussion points that any of the commissioners like to make at this point?
Yeah, I think, I understand the traffic situation in there, but with the concern for it not being the safest corner or whatever, the more people you have in an area, the more safe it becomes, and the livelier you make a neighborhood, the more safe it becomes. So I think that argument, if we keep everybody out of that parking lot, that's maybe going to be a scary place. But when you have families coming and going, I think that's really a positive sign. So, the kids if this man decides that this business is a good thing for that particular area, I kind of agree with him.
Mr. Conroy.
Yeah, I just want to add, this use meets the current parking requirements per the department's report. And this is the largest space in that center. So regardless of what tenant occupies it, there's going to be additional traffic. There's going to be additional use of the parking lot. So additionally, the gym's customers are going to have to deal with that same traffic and that same congestion. So, and I don't see any of the neighboring tenants from that commercial center here to speak against this gym going in. So based on all that, I'm in favor of the use of this space as it promotes athletics, positive self-esteem, and a family-friendly environment. So yeah, I'm in favor of it.
Any other comments? Commissioner Boswell?
For staff, what is the opportunity to have the city or someone speak with the owner of the property in regards to adding private security? Because apparently there are occasional issues and you see private security at much smaller places. Is there something the city can do in that respect?
Yes, we can make contact with the property management and make them aware of some of the concerns that were expressed. And it's possible there may be some form of security there now, so we can learn more about it, but then let them know that there are concerns and see if they'd be willing to enhance the security there.
So we don't know if there is already some kind of private security patrol in there or not.
That's correct.
Well, pointing out that there's going to be a big change in use demographics with 100 little girls in that lot. Perhaps it makes it a little more urgent on the part of the owner to make sure that it's a secure place for their own liability.
We will definitely reach out to the owner after hearing this.
Does part of the requirement from the city in addition for the TIs include additional lighting and security in that back lot?
It's not in the conditions, but the planning commission could add that. The applicant indicated they were planning on doing that, but we could also add it to the conditions to ensure it happens. And that would be demonstrated on the construction drawings, the tenant improvement plan that they submit to the city.
That's a good idea.
Very good, that would be good. And
I have a quick question. If that intersection is so bad, is there any way that we can address it with a traffic study or something like that, just to see if the lights are off? Has it been done
They
lately?
just redid that whole intersection,
okay.
and incompetently, of course, but it's done.
But timing's been checked and.
I don't know about that.
It's slightly better since they improved.
Okay.
They added going south, there are now 2 lanes to turn right.
Okay.
Which is telling you where the commuter traffic is
Going
going.
west,
It's
yeah.
going towards the ocean.
Yeah.
And they
People
made
are
a
driving
U-turn on Manhattan Beach Boulevard, or Inglewood Boulevard, Manhattan Beach Boulevard now, going west.
Okay.
What they didn't do is put a sensor in the left turn lane, so when the lights change and going south now gets a green light again, first it has to wait for the left turn lane lights, even though there are no cars sitting there. And those
You've had a lot of time like I've had to see that.
left turn lane
To
lights,
analyze it.
you're sitting there and the left turn lane light, when there's no other cars, it seems way longer, I'm sure. But what was wrong with they're looking at an F-graded intersection. It's so bad they've added more lanes to be able to make turns to the right and completely forgot about the left and has made it even a worse intersection for people that want to go straight.
So it's been done.
So if there's a traffic study
It's been
now, heads
Okay.
will roll because they're
Never
going to find out about all of these things that weren't dealt with.
Right.
But I don't think it's that relevant to the gymnastics.
Yeah, no.
Well, one comment I'd like to make too, just having had experience in security and safety for about 20 years, I worked in the armed guard business, worked for Brinks and had security personnel. Having security guards isn't necessarily going to make something safer. I could tell you firsthand that lighting, access with lots of more people around, eyeballs tend to deter a lot of crime. I don't know if necessarily putting a requirement on the property owner to have a security guard walking around, and I don't know if you know how much these guys get paid. It's barely above minimum wage. Their job is to observe and report. They don't stop crime. They just document it. So just an observation that just having a security person walking around isn't necessarily going to stop crime. Go ahead.
So should someone make a motion that the resolution have additional lighting, include a condition that additional lighting is,
Part of it, so you.
I would say lighting and cameras.
Lighting and camera, so just, yeah, surveillance.
Yeah, the commission could add that to the motion to add a condition, that there be additional lighting and cameras to enhance security at the rear of the building.
Okay,
I'd be
so
in
I'd like
favor
to make a motion
Make a
to
motion?
accept the resolution as written by the staff with the condition regarding the lighting and
cameras and additional
security
security.
cameras in the back lot.
And
And
additional
lighting,
security.
and lighting, yeah.
Additional security cameras and lighting in the back lot.
Do I have a second for that motion?
I would second that.
Second.
Very good. All in favor?
Aye.
I think we need a roll
Oh,
call.
we need a
vote.
roll call, sorry. Can we get any other, sorry, I guess we could close discussion. Can I get a roll call vote for that?
Yes. Commissioner Light,
Aye.
Commissioner
And
Boswell,
And I didn't catch exactly what it is we're doing. Are we closing public discussion or are we closing the?
Putting it on the motion.
We're voting on the motion. She made a motion
The
for.
resolution.
Oh, the resolution. Okay, yes.
Yes.
Oh, wait, she has to call your name.
Commissioner Light,
Yes.
Commissioner Boswell,
Yes.
Commissioner Young,
Yes.
Commissioner Gaddis,
Yes.
Commissioner Conroy,
Aye.
Commissioner Hazeltine,
Yes.
Chairperson Craig.
Yes. The resolution carries.
Welcome to.
Congratulations.
Welcome to Redondo Beach. Thank you.
And you thought that wasn't going to be very long.
After that one. I think I
I
need a
know,
drink.
my fault.
I don't know.
Who would have thought that would be the
But we're
controversial
so
one?
business unfriendly.
Once again.
How
we
did they
prove-
possibly get by us?
Proving again, once again. So now we're back to our agenda. So we're back to J1. And this will be a public hearing for consideration of an exemption declaration and conditional use permit to allow for the general food snack sales use, inclusive of the sale of beer, wine, and liquor for off-site consumption within an existing multi-tenant building on property located at 2706 Artesia Boulevard in the commercial C2 zone. And can I get a motion to open the public hearing?
Motion to open the public hearing.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Let's continue, and I need to do, should I do the oath now for? I guess we could take this, yeah. The applicant, are you here, Ty? Can you please stand and if you plan on giving testimony, need to swear you in. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Thank you very much. And I believe I have a presentation from staff.
Good evening, Planning Commissioners. My name is Stephen Gang. I'll be presenting item J2, a consideration to allow the general food snack sales use and inclusive of the sale of beer, wine, and liquor for off-site consumption within an existing multi-tenant building at 2706 Artesia Boulevard.
J1, actually.
Yep.
Oh, sorry, J1. The subject site is located on the west side of Inglewood Avenue and south of Artesia Boulevard. It's zoned commercial C2. Properties to the north, west, and east are all zones C2. The properties to the south are zoned low-density multifamily residential, and the city of Lawndale sits on the opposite corner of the proposed use. The lot size is 6,500 square feet. There is an existing 3,250 square feet, two-story multi-tenant commercial building, of which the first floor is 1,425 square feet, which is what the proposal will be using. And the second floor is going to remain existing offices of 1,825 square feet. In terms of access, there are two driveways. There's a two-way driveway off of Inglewood and another two-way driveway off of Artesia Boulevard. Here's a close-up look of the lot. The driveway for Artesia is here, and the driveway for Inglewood is here. Here are some photos that were taken on Wednesday around noon. of the site. The top left is going to be the west elevation, so standing on Inglewood Avenue, looking at the building. The top right is looking at the rear of the building, so looking north towards Artesia Boulevard, standing on that rear parking lot. The bottom left photo is standing on the other side of the, I think it's a veterinary hospital, looking east towards Inglewood Avenue, and the bottom right is standing at the front of the building on Artesia Boulevard. This proposed suite was previously occupied by a flower shop. Interior tenant improvements are proposing to add shelving, counters, and walk-in refrigerators. The proposed business operation will be Monday through Sunday, 8 a.m. to 11 p.m. with a maximum of 4 employees. Sales will include beer, wine, liquor, soft drinks, snacks, and other convenience items. The current municipal code requires a minimum of 12 parking spaces for both the previous uses, which was the flower shop and offices, and the proposed use, which is going to be the convenience store and offices. The store itself requires a total of 6 parking spaces, while the office uses above also require a total of 6 spaces. Based on the proposed business operation, particularly the hours of operation, the allocated parking spaces for the convenience store should be sufficient. In furtherance of confirming that the parking in support of this commercial center could accommodate all existing proposed use, staff reviewed the general hours of operation from existing tenants as compared to the proposed hours for the subject business and found that there would be very limited overlap with existing on-site uses. This can also be evident with the site visit that staff took on Wednesday. At noon, there was only one other car in the parking lot. The other car was just the car that staff used to arrive. Convenience stores of this nature typically have peak times of late evenings and weekends, which will not conflict with the office uses, which have a more typical 8 to 5 p.m. business time. This is the picture of the lot on Wednesday. One of the cars is the staff car and one was for the office use. This is the rear lot. Staff is of the opinion that the proposed use meets the criteria for conditional use permit. The property is adequate in size and shape. The existing driveways provide adequate access. There's enough parking on site. Additional conditions have been added to detail the maximum number of employees, the hours of operation, and if any general nuisances were to occur, the city has the right to revoke or impose additional conditions to this CUP. Based on the findings, staff recommends that the Planning Commission open the public hearing, take testimony, close the public hearing, and make a determination regarding the exemption declaration and the conditional use permit to allow for general food, snack sales use, inclusive of the sale of beer, wine, and liquor for off-site consumption within an existing multi-tenant building on property located at 2706 Artesia Boulevard in the commercial C2 zone. This concludes staff presentation, and staff and the applicant are available for any questions you may have.
Great. Are there any questions from any of us here? Mr. Conroy, go ahead.
Yeah, you mentioned that there was adequate parking. I thought in the readings that it was short a spot.
Yeah, so the site itself requires 12 based on the previous uses and the proposed uses and the zoning code. There's 11 spots on the site. However, the previous use was considered legal non-conforming, and since the flower shop and the new convenience store require the exact same amount of parking, the convenience store is able to continue its legal non-conforming parking requirement since the uses aren't increasing in parking.
So it was short one spot before.
Correct.
And it's still short one spot.
Correct.
And the planning department's rationale for that is that this store is going to get about the same amount of traffic as a flower store?
It's more so that the requirement for the flower shop and the convenience store are the same. So staff felt like the legal non-conforming status could be continued. It should also be noted that one of the trash enclosure spots could be a 12th spot. It's there, it says no parking on Thursdays only, but you can park there the other times of the week. So that's technically a 12th spot if people needed to use it, except on Thursdays.
So there's 13 spots?
It's 12, including the trash enclosure spot that's closed on Thursdays to parking.
So that's
But
what,
otherwise,
that's what
people,
makes it 11.
correct. Staff just didn't count the trash enclosure because on Thursdays, trash pickup removes the spot.
Okay. Wasn't there something in there about a handicap spot that wound up taking the an extra space? I thought that's what brought the number down.
No, that's also included in the 11.
Okay, so you have 10 regular spots and 1 handicap spot and 1 that is available if it's not trash day.
Correct.
Okay. Because you're going to use that one that's available except on trash day is going to have an opportunity to be used a lot more than that handicap spot is ever going to be used.
Correct.
But it sounds like it fits. I mean, people are going to go in, buy something and leave. How bad could it be?
Correct.
But there's no street parking around there, so that doesn't help.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it looks like there is.
On Artesia,
Inglewood.
further down.
Inglewood.
Further down.
Oh, there is on Inglewood, isn't there? Yeah,
On
actually there
Inglewood
is.
there is, but it's a little more south.
Yeah.
It's closer to
It's-
Well, yeah, it's,
closer to the residential homes that are.
literally right next to the place. So they have at least 2 spots right in front of the entrance.
To the side of it, yeah. Commissioner
Maybe
Lake,
3.
you had a question?
3
Yeah,
spots.
a question for staff here on this. I know ACAP had some plans on what they want on Artesia. I'm just curious of why we're getting so many liquor stores. One was across the street from it. We did just 2 months ago or last month. Is there is that the need of the city for that? Obviously, you take applications as they come in, but I'm just curious on what's driving that. It just seems an interesting phenomenon.
Yeah, that's a good question. So one of the findings does require that this conditional use permit be consistent with the intent of the ACAP. As you read through the ACAP, which is the Artesian Aviation Area Corridor Plan, it really addresses placemaking, design, those features of Artesia. It doesn't really get too deep into use, or at least preferred business uses, at least where we would be able to tie it back to a finding in terms of what's allowed and not and disallowed. So there is a requirement for consistency. However, going through the ACAP, it's mostly design oriented. So I would say if we had a project where they were proposing a new building or a remodel or some physical change to the site, I think the ACAP is well suited to address that when we're looking for consistency and compliance.
Not so much use.
Yes.
Gotcha.
Any other questions from the commissioner or staff?
So staff, are there any concerns about the density of alcohol serving businesses? Because just a few meetings ago, we gave basically the gas station across the street, across Inglewood, basically we gave them the opportunity to do this exact same thing there.
Well, not exactly the same. It's beer and wine.
Within.
Beer and wine.
That was a beer and wine. It was.
Oh, this will have.
This is,
more
this
than
is,
beer
this
and
is
wine.
full, this is liquor and alcohol.
This is a full liquor store.
Right.
Then they could be complementary. But we've had discussions about adding additional opportunities to buy alcohol in the city. And there are a lot of people that are voicing opinions that we really don't need anymore. We have an awful lot of them. Is there any concern on the part of the city that, I guess we wouldn't be at this point if there was, but why isn't there?
I would say yes, there is concern. In fact, at the city council meeting on Tuesday, one of the council members made a referral that staff evaluate alcohol serving businesses, liquor stores, and because recently we took some actions on smoke shops, which is actually coming to the Planning Commission soon. And the council member requested that we evaluate liquor businesses as well. I would say there's always concern about what uses go into the various spaces throughout the city, and there is a kind of a plan and a vision for Artesia. It's laid out in the ACAP. I would say with this application, we are really limited strictly to the findings. That's like the basis of the decision and whether or not it meets the findings that are laid out in the municipal code. If down the road, the city council decides, and they have indicated this, they want to look at land uses more broadly throughout the city. If we decide to include some additional standards that seek a certain business type on Artesia, I think that's definitely something that we should consider pursuing. Right now, our evaluation was really limited just to the findings that are currently codified. So that's a long way of answering it.
I had a question for you, Director Weiner. One of the things we did with the location across the street, they obviously limited the hours of operation. It was a little different. I know this has from 8 a.m. to 11 p.m., I believe. I know in some liquor stores, like I mentioned, I was up in Sacramento the other day where they limited the type of alcohol, I guess, in the containers. Like, for example, the gas station, they were only allowed to sell 6-packs, for example. And one of the concerns from some of the council members I spoke to were they were afraid of an individual maybe purchasing a single bottle of something and getting a paper bag and walking around the street. Is there any limitation that we could put on the sales to have it so it's like a larger like a 6-pack as opposed to single cans?
So it is within the Planning Commission's purview to regulate the operations of the business because it does require a conditional use permit. So if there's certain restrictions or allowances that the commission wants to impose on this business, you could potentially do that. And I think it would be with the intent of trying to achieve a certain type of business or certain quality of business along Artesia corridor. So I would say, yes, that is within your purview, so long as it's within reason and would allow them to still operate as a business.
Yep.
Yeah.
Commissioner Gaddis.
Yeah, so along that same line, we could, for instance, if we had in mind that, bottles of Thunderbird shouldn't be coming out of the place, we could actually limit that only wines over, let's say, at random, $15 a bottle and up can be sold, and no 40-ounce beers, let's say, bottles of beer. So that type of thing is allowed.
It would be, but my recommendation would be if you're going to draft conditions that get into that level of nuance, it's important that it's enforceable also. That's something that staff could monitor from time to time, or if we receive a complaint, respond to and be able to easily measure and identify. I've seen conditions get pretty abstract in terms of like percentage of areas of a certain merchandise. It can become very hard and very unrealistic to enforce. I would just say be mindful of the enforceability of it.
Right. So if complaints start rolling in that there's public consumption of alcohol in that area, then that might prompt an investigation, that someone would go to the store and say, well, the permit here is that you can't sell 40-ounce malt liquors and cheap wine, basically.
Yeah, that's correct. And we do have a condition that speaks to, I think, on-premise drinking of alcohol, which is probably fairly straightforward to enforce. But I would say if there's other operational issues with the business, if we are receiving an abundance of complaints from the public or the police department, with the use permit, staff can bring it back to the Planning Commission and we can make modifications to the conditions to address whatever issues are coming up.
Can I ask a follow-up question?
Sure, go ahead.
It appears that the property, at least at present, at the ground level, doesn't really have an abundance of windows facing that parking lot in the back. And if I look at the design of this, and maybe I'm wrong, but isn't it like refrigerators all the way around?
I think so.
Does it appear to you that there, with regards to people drinking in the parking lot or behind the building, that they indeed have the ability to observe and enforce, no drinking on premise, that they have enough visibility back there, or does it make sense if they don't, for us to require security cameras monitoring that area or something?
I think that's an option, and maybe the applicant can speak to the windows and what they had in mind in terms of being able to monitor the parking and outside of the store. Generally, if this were like a street-facing store, I would say that we would not want to see the windows being blocked by refrigerator units. In this case, since it faces the parking lot, that's probably less of a concern, but there's other reasons to be concerned, and that's more security and visibility outside the store.
Exactly. Commissioner Conroy, you had a question?
Yeah, question, comment. We have to be careful not to have overly broad alcohol restrictions because it could be stricken down, but cities have shown in the past the ability to ban single-serve containers, which goes back to what you were saying. I don't know about the price restrictions, but certainly by size, cities have been successful in banning like beer that's 16 ounces or less, wines that are half bottle, like 375 mils, and also spirits, the small ones, the 200 milliliters or less. I would definitely be interested in amending the resolution to include a ban of that sort. In addition, I'd like to see us, if possible, have no exterior alcohol advertising, if that's not already included in there.
Signage, you mean?
It's a liquor
Signage,
store.
signage and advertising.
What?
What?
No signage on the outside of
say
the
liquor
building
store outside?
saying that it's a liquor store?
We can say liquor store, but I don't want to.
A bottle of a beer.
You don't want to have a Budweiser
cut out.
light in the window, huh?
Correct.
Okay.
Clyde Steeples in the window.
I did look into this a little. bit
You say
because
no,
there's
can't sell Budweiser.
so.
King Cobra.
In addition to the convenience stores and whatnot that sells beer and wine only, within 3/4 of a mile radius, there's 3 other locations where you can buy liquor. So there's no shortage of options for residents in the area. So I think really all we can do is place these sort of restrictions.
I will say with the serving or the quantities, I believe with the application that the planning commission reviewed a few months ago for the gas station, you did add a condition that limited it to, for beer and similar products, it had to be in at least minimum 4 or 6 packs. And I think for wine, because they were only selling beer and wine, it was 750 milliliters and up was the minimum size. So that condition was applied to that business.
Right. Mr. Boswell, Commissioner Boswell.
All true, of course. But the intent on the part of the planning commission, as far as I was concerned, I think everybody else is, one of the goals was to try to make that gas station not be a liquor store, but allow them to have a food store, which would mean they'd have to be able to sell beer and wine. This is a liquor store. My default position on any entrepreneur is let the entrepreneur be the expert and let them create their business as they think they should, and hopefully, if they're allowed to do that, they will be as profitable as they expect. If we put limitations on them before any kind of violations or any problems that may never occur, then we're limiting their entrepreneurship. As you've mentioned, we have the opportunity to come back later if there are problems and put further conditions on. If we're going to allow a liquor store on a busy intersection corner, let it be a liquor store. Let them sell whatever they want, as long as it's legal.
Commissioner Young.
I am curious about that door that faces the parking lot. Is that intended to be an emergency exit only or use in and out for customer facing?
Based on the plans, I believe that door, let's see, it's a access point for the upstairs offices. A stairwell comes down, and that's how they exit the building from that back door, if I'm not mistaken.
I'm
The
sorry.
applicant-
It's
I'm-
just the second floor then.
The applicant can provide more information, but it looks like a staircase.
I'm not looking at the staircase, I'm looking at the A3 on the plans, and there's a door to the left, on the left side.
Looks like it goes to the outside, yeah.
That's the north side, yeah.
No, the south side.
That's the south side you're talking about over here.
It's a rendering on the pictures too.
It's like a staircase is there though. It should be south.
Looking at that one.
Oh, that one, I'm sorry. Yeah, that is like the.
Yeah, but if you go to the pictures, you can actually see it.
Oh.
It is a door.
North that way. so
I know
the
it's a
north side,
door,
right?
but is it meant to be,
Doesn't really show whether it is.
Which one is she
Is
pointing
that
to?
door
pointing
only
here
go
on
up
the
to the
south side
second
of it.
Oh,
floor?
that's a stairway to the second
That's,
floor.
that's what he just said.
Oh.
Yeah, that is like the staircase to the second floor.
That's this one. It's not a doorway to the first floor.
Yeah.
Oh,
At
it
all,
is.
is it?
No.
but this has, maybe I'm confused. Where is,
So I think if we're looking at it correctly, if you look at the screen, the door in question is this bottom corner here. This is the rear parking lot.
Mm-hmm.
And then the second floor looks like a staircase to enter the hallway up
Right.
here.
okay, can you go back to the previous
Yeah.
one? Okay,
This door
so
goes up to
is there a
here.
door that goes to the back parking lot?
No, not from the first floor.
Okay, that answers me, my
Seal
question.
off. Yeah,
Okay, thank you.
So there's a single entrance and it's from the north.
Right here.
that's correct.
Okay, that makes sense.
I really got the wrong side. Okay. Any other questions from any commissioners on that?
Yes.
Commissioner Hazeltine?
Yeah, I'm not seeing any plan to beautify this building. Okay, we have ACAP, and the whole idea is to beautify artesian aviation. I'm not seeing any planting scheme there. I'm not seeing,
It's all asphalt.
and that, you know, the awning looks tired. We've got the inside plans, where they plan on putting the racks, but I'm not seeing any beautification, and that's so important for that area. I mean, I get that there's nothing we can do about the fact that a liquor store is going in there, but we sure need for that to look better from the outside. So, would I be able to ask the applicant if that?
We could bring the applicant up and ask questions, yes. I guess at this point, you want to come up and answer some questions? Thank you. And, that's right. And please state your name for the,
Michael Rancini.
oh, I've already swore him at the
Okay.
beginning. I did.
Yeah, Michael Rancini. Let me give you a little background. I'm a commercial real estate broker. I represent Mr. Singh, and I basically got my license in Redondo. I remember being in the library for 6 months. Oh, yeah. I used to take out shopping bags of every video, and she would say to the librarian, "Oh, you think so much?" I'll tell you, man, positive motivation. She said, "You gonna really listen to those?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'll listen to them. Bags." She thought I was crazy, but I watch them. Anyways, I've been doing this for 25 years. Put a lot of businesses in Redondo. Great business place. Good place to do business. Let me give you some background before the locations, just a little bit on Mr. Singh, because he's already addressed a lot of these issues with the single beer. He does not sell single beers. Very strict, very serious on just control. Provisions are in place, and he runs a very extremely clean business. When he first started, or a little over 17 years ago, 12 years ago in Lakewood, due to redevelopment, he lost his second location. That cost him about $200,000. For the past by the way, he's a father, husband, and a business owner. For 2 years, we've been looking at locations. Obviously, we had to meet certain criteria, parking ratio, the traffic. We've got a landlord that we've entered into a 10-year lease, if everything goes okay tonight. And as far as the restrictions, he's very careful with just people coming in. We don't have a homeless problem. We don't have a loitering problem. We do have security. This particular location, he's gonna put about $250,000 into improvements, and that's the exterior's already been done. The landlord redid the interior and the exterior, did a really nice job. So we're gonna complement that with another 250,000 improvements. The refrigerators on the Inglewood side, we did bring up the visibility and exposure. There's enough visibility to monitor the back parking lot as far as loitering, drinking, any of that there. But we don't really have that problem because he doesn't sell the single beers. It's usually
No,
six pack, yeah.
I get that. My question was,
Good.
I need planters,
Yeah, yeah.
I need plants.
Yeah.
I need that tired, I'm looking, maybe it's been updated.
No, I agree with you. I've got a
Awning.
business in Redondo on
I'm
182nd.
talking about his business
Right, right.
specifically. And has the exterior of the building, it needs to be beautified because it's in the ACAP area,
Yeah,
which
right.
we're trying to fix that area
Right,
up.
right.
And I'm not seeing it in the plans.
Okay, okay. Well, if you're looking for something particular, we don't have an issue making some modifications. We have no issue with that there. Are you looking for more greenery or building itself?
I'm sorry, staff? Okay. We can do two things.
Okay.
Go ahead.
No. I was just trying to put the pictures up for you.
Oh, okay, okay. So,
I know.
did the awning come down?
That was the commercial broker that was leasing it. Yeah, the other awning, I believe, is down, yeah.
Okay. And we don't have, over here on the left-hand side, you've got a planter.
Yeah.
And what's being planted there?
Well, palm trees, I'm a big palm tree fan. California. Out back, if there's no objections, we can do something there. Because we seem to have the space between where the stops are. This definitely in the front, we can enhance that there. And then just come up with some ideas that might work. I do like greenery. I'm all for it. I did it all around my business on 182nd, and I'm sure it wouldn't be an issue with Mr. Singh. So I think it would definitely enhance it.
They redid this planter, but it doesn't look like there's anything there yet. That's this planter here.
Well, are there any other questions for the applicant? Mr. Conroy, Commissioner Conroy, sorry.
Would you accept a condition that limits closing to 10 p.m. Sunday through Thursday and 11 p.m. Friday through Saturday?
Sure.
With any later hours requiring a hearing to amend the CUP?
Sure.
To reassure the neighbors, are you prepared to install and maintain 24-hour security cameras?
Yeah, and that's a prerequisite now at the current location and prior in Lakewood. Yes, definitely, that's a prerequisite, yeah.
Since you say you already do so, would you be opposed to having a condition of the CUP that single-serve containers would be prohibited to include 16-ounce or smaller
That's
beers,
in place now.
375 ml or smaller bottles of wine, and 200 ml or smaller bottles of spirits?
That's in place right now, but yes.
That's in place in the
Right now,
CUP?
yes, we don't, no, at the current location, we don't sell anything under that.
So I would just ask that the city impose the same restriction. And what, also no alcohol advertising on the outside of the
Yeah, we
property?
don't plan to cover the exterior walls, because he did a really nice job.
Even through the windows?
Right, yeah. Well, you got the general, like Budweiser, like type posters that they get, but we're not looking to clutter up all the windows. Like, we go down to LAX and you see some of these stores that's just completely covered. The store's running right now in 190th Street over at Torrance, very clean, very professional, very appropriate. So we're not big on all that signs. It's really not necessary.
I know the location's like on a relatively big corner and whatnot, but it's also 60 feet away from residential.
Pardon me.
60 feet away from residential, so I think it is important that we fit in, that the space fit in with the community. It was
Sure.
previously a flower store.
Sure.
It's a big difference.
Right.
What are your plans for what you're having on your shelves in addition to alcohol?
Well, there's a
What
lot of
percentage?
beverages,
Do you have a
yeah, yeah.
percentage in place?
Alcohol is about probably 25%, right in that range there. He's got a lot of like household products, kitchen stuff, those type of items, chips, a lot of chips, candy, chips, beverages, household items, cleaning stuff. So it's not your general, I keep going back to LAX because I drive through that corridor a lot. It's not your standard, like go in liquor store and Budweiser, alcohol all over all the walls and hanging off the ceiling. It's a good variety. It's a good mix. And his stores are very clean, very run professionally, very polite, and we don't have homeless or loitering issues. He's very on top of what he's doing. The issue here was the closure of the Lakewood store that really hurt him bad. There's a $200,000 loss, and he just had to absorb it.
Would the on-site managers have lead training?
I'm sorry?
Lead training? Or lead training, LEAD?
Yeah.
They do, or they would?
Oh, I think the applicant actually wanted to speak at some point.
Oh, I thought he was speaking on behalf of the
No, he
applicant.
said he
yeah.
would put his hand up.
Yeah,
Oh,
he
I'm
put his hand
sorry.
up, yeah.
That's why I
Yeah, we
was.
could ask him that as well, too. Okay.
Okay,
Any other-
well, I can ask the question of the
Okay,
applicant.
sure. Would you like to come up, sir? And
It's,
please state your name.
Additional professional
Right.
training with the handling of alcohol.
Right, they do that for police certification, yeah.
Good evening, everyone.
Sworn in.
Please state your name for the record.
Can you say it
Oh,
again?
You know,
My name is Gurjeet Singh.
He's been sworn in.
Were you sworn in? Yeah, they were both sworn in initially. Please
Actually,
go ahead.
this is my first time here, so I'm a little nervous, so that's why I bring my friend with me. So actually, I am running my business on 198th Street, and we don't have any single poster outside for any beer or alcohol, just for the energy drink, because just cover my the glass window so nobody can break the windows or anything like that. But inside we have a nice, everything clean, items, everything.
Where is
So-
that on 190th Street?
Yeah, the location, where's the location on 190th?
3709 West 190th Street.
What's the cross street?
Oh, yeah, what's the
nearest
cross street?
cross street would be
It's
Prairie.
between
Yeah, it's Prairie, it's
Prairie
Prairie,
and
Prairie.
Crenshaw.
Down there.
He's almost between Prairie and Crenshaw.
Gotcha.
Yeah, right there,
Is it
right
ne-
across from the oil refinery.
Yeah, next to that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any other questions for the applicant, Mr. Conroy, or?
Are the managers going to have lead training?
Do you know what lead training, can you explain to him what the lead training is? So he-
Actually, they took, because the ABC department, they are required that for not sell to minor, all those included there. So they give, after that training, they give the certificate. So do have to be hang in the business.
Okay, so your managers will have
Yes,
that sort of training?
everyone have to be required who can working on the counter. So they have to be complete that training before they
One
work.
more thing about that, he doesn't really hire younger, most of his employees are 38 and above.
Understood.
So he
Yeah.
runs a tight ship, yeah.
Mr. Singh, if I understood you correctly, you said at your other location, you don't advertise any alcohol through posters or any other means.
No,
You do
sir.
advertise energy
Actually,
drinks,
usually some
non-alcohol.
people put like a kind of flags or all those things. I never did in my life, so
Okay.
yeah. Just I have some posters like energy drinks, all those things.
Okay. Wonderful. If that's the case, then I would support adding that to the CUP.
I have a question.
Okay, Commissioner Young?
How do you plan on having deliveries made? And will there be any blocking of traffic?
We approach that, and most of the deliveries are on off time because the only area we could do it is in the front. But most of the deliveries are done at an off time where people are really not doing business, and they're scheduled. So they really, before they open, or it's a little bit later.
Okay, I mean, I drive by 7-Eleven.
Yeah, no,
And-
not like a 7-Eleven.
And
Yeah,
it-
I know. yeah.
it's frustrating being blocked by trucks that are trying to move in and out,
We're
and,
not that type of an operation because as a commercial broker, I deal with this a lot.
okay,
I got a lot of issues, parking, ingress, egress, all of that I deal with, but the volume we're talking here is not like a 7-Eleven. Deliveries are much shorter and longer periods because of the variety. So you won't have an issue with the loading, offloading, or interrupting traffic flow.
thank you.
Is on 190th Street, is this ABC Liquor?
ABC.
Yeah.
Okay. Are there any other questions?
Do you
Go ahead.
plan to have lottery numbers hanging in the window of?
Actually, they are from California Lottery Department. So they hang the digital numbers. They are showing like how much is a Mega Million Lotto, all those things, something like that.
He's talking additional posters like all through the windows. You don't.
No outside, but inside.
Right, but at ABC Liquor, the lottery numbers are hanging in the window, showing outside,
Yeah, illuminated sign, yeah.
illuminated sign.
Actually,
An LED
recently somebody broke my door, so that we have like a lottery guy came, so he put temporarily that. Usually they not have to be put anything on the door.
Yeah, I think we're gonna have to be really careful on this external signage.
So we need to have it, yeah, as a part of the permit.
Yeah,
Yeah, okay, as long as we put that in the condition.
yeah.
We're looking at your liquor store that you have, ABC Liquor, and you have posters of, looks like vodka and, yeah, Smirnoff and
Bud Light.
all of that, and, Bud and,
And neon signs
Yeah.
too. Mhm.
so
Well, we put a.
I think the concern here is having those posters in that area. So you picked Artesia to put your business, and that's just wonderful. But we're really, really trying to clean that street up. And when it looks like, we make the same conditions, for example, for a massage shop. We don't want pictures of women or men getting massages on the glass.
Right.
So if we could have a condition here where you understand that you can't put those alcohol posters in the window, because you can call it a liquor store, of course, that's your signage.
Yes.
But the advertising of the Smirnoff, is that a requirement from Smirnoff?
No, ma'am, sometime actually, my mom have a cancer, so a lot of appointments and same thing, health issue for my son. So right now my dad is like around 70, he's working in the morning. Sometime sales rep came, so they didn't ask me, so they just put whatever.
But to answer your question, yes, we will.
So we need the window, we're gonna need the
I
windows
So
look
on
clean.
this location, so
I completely agree. If you want to put a restriction in, we're okay with it.
Yeah, it's
It's
different
not
if you have
really-
a poster on the inside of the store.
It's not, exactly. It's not, once people tend to habits, once they know where you're located, they use the store, they don't pay attention to the signs.
Okay, okay.
Signage doesn't bring in business, the
Okay.
traffic count brings in
And
business.
in addition, it says liquor store.
The restriction is fine.
outside. Yeah. I think the other comment, we were kind of talking around, but not just posters, but in this one particular location, there's several neon signs that are in the window as well.
Yeah,
So we should
beer,
probably.
beer lights, as it were, and
Yeah, Bud Light and things like that.
lotto
Yeah,
numbers.
we have no problem with restrictions and keeping things to a minimum, a couple things here and there, keep it neat.
So
nice.
it has to be like none.
Right.
Other than your sign that says whatever liquor store.
Right.
And that, I think, is probably the condition we're talking about, is keeping the windows clean.
Sure.
It is the same restriction we put on these massage shops, so we're not like,
Yeah.
pulling it out of
Sure.
nowhere.
No,
It's just, it makes a huge difference if your
There's no
windows are
bias
kept
here, I
clean.
can see that, yeah.
And Commissioner Gaddish got a question.
Yeah, this ABC liquor store also has some external things, a donation box and
This,
some other stuff. would it be a problem if we restricted no external,
This was
whether?
a previous business that he purchased, and
Okay.
a lot of that was kind of like added in. He's cleaned up the entire business and the area around there. This is a different concept over here.
Okay.
It's a higher end neighborhood. It's cleaner
But if we
environment.
restricted that there is no outside,
Yeah.
whether it's just,
Again,
I
I
don't know,
refer to
LP
the
gas.
LAX type, yes, I agree.
mean,
Right.
stuff on the outside of
Right,
the
right,
building, basically.
Want to clean.
That would not be a
professional.
problem
Yeah.
if we prohibited that.
Right.
Our preference is that it looks and acts like a community market
Yeah,
that sells
I
liquor.
know what you're seeking. I've done a lot of leases, yeah, and I can walk him through that, and we have no problem with the recommendations and restrictions.
Very good.
And again,
Any questions over here before I go back? Mr. Conroy?
So you got the refrigerators in there?
not yet, not yet.
Well, you will.
No, this was,
Is the-
the build out was subject to the approval.
And the compressors for the refrigerators?
Those were already on the roof from the flower shop. I mean, we're gonna put those back up there.
Are you gonna replace them or add to
Could
them?
probably get new ones.
Okay, so
I
do
think, I don't
do we
know.
have anything about sound mitigation, like
Yeah.
any enclosure or something to keep it to like, because again, within 60 feet, we have residential.
Yeah, I don't believe there's really a whole lot of sound with that. I think that is on the plan. I think that was addressed. Gina Ruby, she was the architect, but we did address that.
Okay.
But there is no sound.
That's not.
Well, I'm just, if you're gonna add to what's there, it sounds like.
Don't quote me on that, because I know that Gina did address that, and I know that at the current store we're at right now, there is no sound with these.
So, okay, so for staff, I would like to see something, if the compressors are gonna be outdoors, that some kind of measurement to show along the south property line where it borders on
Again, I
residential.
think you can correct me, but I think they are enclosed on this particular roof. I think they are,
Okay.
yeah.
Well, there's also office buildings there
Right,
on that
right
second
above.
floor. That would be much closer,
yeah,
so
right.
if they aren't allowed, it would be
Right,
an issue.
right.
I had a question for staff though regarding I know the hours of operations are from 8 a.m. to 11 p.m., but there are residential homes about 50 feet away. Is there any restriction in the CUP about when they can get deliveries, so they're not like at 6 a.m. or 5 a.m.?
What time your deliveries?
There are currently no restrictions on the resolution with specifics to deliveries.
Yeah, I just think of that good for, obviously trucks loading things in the morning.
How long are they
Granted,
usually-
Inglewood Avenue is not the quietest area, but nonetheless, their homes right next to it.
No more than 20 minutes? 15
Less
minutes?
than 50.
Okay.
One thing I'd like to clarify is the loading zone on the site plan is dictated to show on the front of the property along Artesia as well. So there shouldn't be any loading happening at the rear of the property.
Okay, yeah, there's no door there, that's why.
Oh, yeah,
I didn't know if
that
they're gonna
too.
park there and roll it around, because
Right.
sometimes that happens in some deliveries I've seen.
Right.
Okay, all right, so it'd be in the front. Are there any other questions from anyone on the commission?
Yes,
Please, Commissioner Hazeltine.
okay. Magazines. What kind of
Oh,
magazines?
no, none.
We not
none,
sell none.
none at all.
Oh, no
Zero.
porno
None.
magazines
No,
in
no,
here.
no.
Okay, no
Not even
magazines.
newspapers.
Okay,
No, absolutely not.
okay. So you do have some planters there. Those are all gonna be planted out with new
Yeah,
landscape.
we're gonna make it look nice.
All new landscape in the planters.
Yeah, we're gonna make it look very nice. I'm big on greenery. I'm on 182nd and right at the corner.
Yeah.
And in Hawthorne, and everything is green. I've done palm trees, everything. We'll make it green. We'll make it nice. It'll be good eye appeal.
Where is that? On 182nd? Where?
Yeah, it's Bruin in 182. Right off of Hawthorne, yeah.
Bruin?
Yeah. Oh my God, yeah. I say good one.
So I guess east of Hawthorne.
Yeah. Oh my God, yeah, it's right there. It's 4428 West 182nd Street, Suite B.
Well, that narrows it down.
Commissioner Conroy,
okay.
I'm sorry, or, yeah, for the question?
Well, I'm just a little confused because normally when we get project brought in front of us, we see all of this, and so now we're just kind of having to imagine it. We normally see what's planted, we see how
So you
things are
couldn't
gonna
say one
look.
block west of.
And did we get it
Hawthorne,
before
yes,
we
to say
normally
Bruin.
get?
So they did not submit a landscape plan or any proposal for facade modifications. I did have the same thought as you as I was reviewing this before it was finalized and trying to look for opportunity as to how the building could be improved. It's, you know, the commission's limited in terms of what we can require. It should be proportional to the application before us. So things like structural modifications probably aren't really on the table, but I do think they could do some beautification of the site, some additional landscaping, some planters.
How do we put that in there?
So you could add a condition
Okay.
and rather than trying to design it on the spot, you could give general guidance and
Okay.
have them, direct them to work with staff on incorporating that into the plan.
Okay.
And I
okay,
do think
'cause-
it's important that the windows remain clear of signage. And we have a condition that's comes directly out of our code for how we
Okay.
treat another type of use, I think would apply well to this. But I think that's important to the aesthetic and the look of this building as well. As
Right. And
identified by the planning commission.
looking at the front of the building, you know, it gets a little tough because we've got that ramp, wheelchair ramp. And I don't know if there's even enough space for planters, but can we somehow write in the condition that we need to have that landscape? Yeah, let's do that.
Yes, I would say for the commission, you can give just general like guidance on landscaping in the parking lot, maybe to investigate certain particular areas, or we'll
Okay.
work with the applicant and
Okay,
ensure that that's applied.
yeah. Yeah, we've never got a project that didn't
Yeah.
already have landscaping presented to us,
Some rendering, yeah.
some in the drawing, so it's a little confusing.
Well, most of those were build projects.
Yeah.
This is a
Oh, it's just,
tenant.
Tenant.
They don't own the building.
Right.
it's just interior work, yeah.
Well,
Like when we got a dog groomer, they didn't give us landscape.
Yeah, I get a lot of requirements, with a lot of codes, different cities of a certain percentage, especially parking lots. But, yeah, again, we're not opposed to conditions. If we have the room, we have no problem adding it. It's nice. It's nice to the eye. It's good for the community. We have no problem with it.
Okay.
Absolutely.
And the owner may want to do it after all,
Right.
of the building.
First, Mr. Conrad, then Mr.
I'm
Gettis.
done.
and then
Oh, I'm sorry.
Commissioner Dunn.
I'll let you go first, Commissioner
He's
Con.
been waiting.
Okay, Commissioner Oswald.
So
please.
we are aware that there is a large planter up on the corner of that front lot, right? And do you have plans in particular for,
I
specific
like
plans
palm
for that?
trees. I keep bringing up the palm trees. I'm
Palm
a
trees are
palm
not
tree
good
guy.
in planters like that, I don't think.
They're uninvasive.
Palm trees are not that
Or
good
Yeah, no, mine have
in
survived
a
over there.
planter.
We'll look for recommendations, but they do survive. I mean,
But
you're
I'm
looking
sure
for something
staff will
more
be able to
heavier,
advise
more
on something
heavier you want?
appropriate.
more
Sorry?
heavier, something more thicker or heavier. Or-
I think working with staff will
Yeah,
get you some
sure.
good recommendations
Yeah,
because
sure.
you don't want to be, sweeping up leaves
Right, right.
all year round,
Right.
much past
Yeah.
the fall. And with palm trees, you've got palm fronds being blown off in wind and coming down and damaging cars that are in the parking lot. You probably don't want palm trees
Yeah,
either.
something that,
But something like, the cypress pines, the tall, thin ones
Mhm. Yeah.
that go straight up.
yeah, low maintenance,
Yeah.
good with the weather. Yeah, I agree.
Something to provide some greenery, but are we looking to have them add another planter? Because there's not a lot of room in that front parking lot. No?
The question was, did you want to?
Are we talking about adding, so I mainly brought up that there's already a planter there. Are you talking about adding additional planters?
Yes,
Where?
what, that's up to staff. I
There's-
mean,
well, there's-
normally, it's not my,
I drive by this all the time. In fact, I've been driving by this since it was Heritage Realty. And it's
$49
just a
worth.
small little place. I don't know if you're gonna, have issues with still being able to have the parking spaces if you add more planters. I'm not sure where they would go. Maybe in the back?
I have some additional photos here that
Oh,
might help.
there's two in the back
Yeah,
also.
we got you in-
So
I'll show you some of the
along
photos.
Inglewood, you've got 3 different planters that you can do something with to beautify the area. Are we looking for something more than, I'm not sure where else something would fit.
Where else it would fit. That's where it would fit. And the other thing is that we've been asking for California natives throughout, so that's an obvious, fix for that. But I'm just saying it's on Artesia. We need to do whatever we can do, and
Right.
they're going to work with staff, and I trust staff.
Okay. And Steph, you actually had your hand up, I think, at one point?
I was only just gonna point out that I have the pictures on the screen for you guys to look at.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, so
Appreciate that.
do we have pictures of the planter boxes?
Yeah, so this is I believe this is the front planter box. And these are the two off the rear.
Yeah,
With
the
the
side
front
of the wall.
one, we have to be particularly careful because it is an intersection. So
Yeah, you
Public
can't
Works
walk.
requires a 42-inch height limit on those planters anyways.
Block
So a
visibility.
palm tree wouldn't be allowed
Right,
in that.
that's fine. They need to be kept up.
42-inch tall, including the 12-inch planter already.
That's the girl. Very good. Commissioner
As
Conrad,
part
you
of
had a
the
question?
conditional use, would we be able to require maintenance, regular maintenance?
Yes.
Commissioner Conrad, you cactus man.
Yeah, for staff, I'd like to see the CUP subject to a 1-year compliance review with the authority at that time to modify or revoke if there's violations. Is that something we could do?
It is, so you can add that as one of the conditions, and if that's a condition, do you prefer that staff reports back to the planning commission? Like we bring it back to the planning commission in a year and just report on the
Status of it.
That would be
status
fine
of the
with me.
building, the site?
Because it sounds like we're going to have a handful of additional conditions.
Right, that we have to verify later. Yeah.
Is somebody jotting these down as we go?
Yes, staff is noting these.
We'll never remember.
Oh, yeah.
I'm actually really glad to see you. As far as restrictions on alcohol, do you agree that case law and cities have been fairly been able to uphold restrictions as far as single serve containers?
We actually have that requirement in our code already with service stations that sell beer and wine. They are prohibited from selling single-serve alcohol containers. So I believe that it is a valid criteria and a condition that can be imposed in conditional use permits.
Thank you.
Very good. Excellent. Mr. Gandos.
It appears that some of the delivery trucks, such as Pacifico, use very long tractor trailers to deliver their pallets of cases of.
I'm a consumer also.
Yeah, and so where the heck?
So, yeah, I think, looking at it, well, obviously not on Artesia Boulevard,
That's where they,
Well, yeah, it's
all
not
along
going to be.
Artesia, you have these
And
big
Inglewood,
trucks
that's a
all
very
along
busy
Artesia.
intersection right there. And
What's the largest truck that comes down to the Torrance store? What's the largest trucks that usually come in? You get the real big ones?
No, not that one. I think.
What's the largest one like that?
I think you see the big trailer almost half.
Yeah, I mean, am I allowed to hold up my computer to show them the
You have to
picture?
plug it in, probably. Or can you plug in?
I mean, basically, I have a picture of your store on 190th.
Right.
A very, very, very long tractor trailer unloading Pacifico beer to your store.
Actually, these big trucks usually going in the big markets. The small stores have a little bit smaller than that one.
But this new store is going to be bigger than your store on 190th, right?
What's the square foot over at 190th about?
That one is 1,700 or 1,800.
Pretty close.
That's my.
So,
Pretty similar.
so I guess to anticipate this, and Mark, this is a question for you too. I mean, if they have an enormous truck delivering to this store, it's going to have to block a lane of Inglewood, the southbound lane at the Artesia intersection, which, as you know, is a very highly traffic. it's a very highly trafficked intersection.
However,
I mean,
morning,
are they
the
gonna get a
traffic's going the
ticket,
other way.
you know, or what's, I guess, how do we handle things like that?
Well, to Mr. Boswell's point too, the traffic pattern is going to be going the opposite direction. If they're going to be coming south on Inglewood Avenue, that's going to probably have not much traffic. If they deliver in the morning. Because
Yeah.
leaving the city.
Yeah, well, yeah, but still one lane will be blocked, so.
Yeah, it's a good question. Actually, today when I was driving through town, I was blocked by a loading truck also. And I made me think about this item. That's something that we could speak with the police department about how it's typically managed and enforced throughout the city, and get back to the planning commission on, and we can, ask them in terms of this application, what they would recommend in terms of the best management of that. Because other businesses along the corridor are also, I'm sure, dealing with some of the same issues and have.
I also think we have some flexibility with the vendors as well. I don't think that they're all subject to an 18-wheel. So
I think you could probably include a provision, a condition in the conditional use permit that would require the deliveries to adhere to all vehicle code sections and not block, the roadway. Yeah, traffic.
Okay.
I think that's what the applicant's
We probably should put that
representative
in.
is saying,
Yeah.
that they would do that, and they have flexibility with their vendors
can't do
to
that anyway, whether there's
alert
a
them
condition
to
or
not, deliver with a 18-wheeler,
times also, times and size. Should be.
Yeah.
Right,
But I
so,
do think there's some flexibility there.
okay, so,
It's a very busy intersection, we agree. That's what we like about it. We can't be taking a parking lane, I agree.
right.
Yeah, and that
I
would
always
be,
say cities don't want traffic jams, accidents, people getting hit,
And
and ambulances.
that's
fire.
really the
They-
issue,
they
because I
don't
mean,
want
once
it.
you
Yeah.
start blocking
Right,
a lane
right.
at that intersection,
Right,
it's gonna
right,
become
right.
dangerous,
Yeah,
so, yeah, Mark, if we could, okay.
Well, in addition to that too, I know that we are currently, and this is to Ms. Park, I know we have an existing problem right now with large semi-deliveries coming down Prospect Boulevard by the schools, which is, it's not a large, it's not supposed to be for a large traffic. And yet they're doing it from Torrance, I guess, on a regular basis. So if we could do something to implement, the reason I mentioned it, because I know that we were talking about that, and the last meeting I went with, apparently, there's issues because it's not being enforced, like they may do random sting operations to stop these deliveries, but then the trucks come back again. And then we've never done anything to prosecute the serial offenders, like the large trucking companies that continue to violate that issue. So I'm not sure if we put that restriction, if we're going to be able to enforce it.
That shouldn't stop us from putting it in.
No, we should put it in, but I'm just
Okay.
saying that, there's an enforcing issue we already have existing. So,
We'll have to deal with that
Yeah.
later.
no, I'm saying, I agree. I think we should,
Okay.
I think we should put it in, but I just hope it's something we can enforce. So, and before, Mr. Boswell, I know that you had a question.
Yeah, we had wording in the yellow liquor store across from Petco that limited the delivery and the size of the trucks. Do you remember, Commissioner Boswell? We talked about that. So they had to come before a certain time and with a certain kind of truck because they were going to be driving in the back. And I just don't remember the wording of all of that. So we had it.
Yeah, because of the retaining wall, they couldn't get in the parking lot. They would just be in the alleyway there. And that's a alley that's used for access in the neighborhood. So,
Right.
yeah, we
So we
wanted
did
them
have it.
in
but-
early and out early.
And I think he's right. They would only be able to bring the smaller truck, et cetera, et cetera.
Absolutely, yeah.
That kind of
Yeah, I
stuff.
do recall that. That was for the liquor store on
Yeah, the
PCH
The
that we
remodel.
reviewed maybe
Oh, the one
8 or
across
9
the
months
street,
ago.
Mhm.
Good. Are there any other questions from Mr. Boswell?
Okay, so.
Mr. Boswell, I'm sorry.
Inglewood Avenue at that point, and I drive by it all the time, but of course, who looks at things when you're so familiar with them? There is car parking on Inglewood right next to the store. Wouldn't
I
the
think it's
truck
a
be
little-
parking
It's a
there?
little bit further up. It's
Well,
not-
I'm
yeah,
looking at
it's
2
past
cars
the
parked right
entrance.
next to your store in the aerial,
Looks like
It's-
from a
it's-
space picture.
Before
But the question is, would the truck be too wide to fit in that same space that a car could fit in? Because on Artesia, these giant trucks with trailers pull up to the curb all the time and make deliveries, and not necessarily early in the morning. And there doesn't seem to be a problem with that. This looks like a truck is going to fit just fine there. It might block the entrance to the south parking lot if it's a bigger truck, but I don't know if width-wise it's going to eliminate one of the two lanes. It just doesn't look like that's going to happen. So I think what we're talking about is perhaps a non-issue.
Yeah.
What, I mean, you're the real estate
Yeah,
professional.
again,
You know
I do-
exactly
yeah, I
what's
know
next
exactly
to
what
this
you're talking
store.
about. Yeah, I deal with this a
Would that
lot.
fit or not?
Again, I don't think that we're gonna see any 18 wheels, and again, these are negotiations with vendors of truck sizes. We don't want to take a lane, we're not going to take a lane, period. It's if they.
I don't see
want
how
to-
you could unless it's an awfully wide truck. And the length of the truck isn't the issue,
Well,
it's the
You
width.
got the width too.
And
right.
no matter how long it is, it's probably about the same width, right?
I don't see it being an issue, but if it did become an issue, right, then we'll address it. We're not gonna block traffic. That I can guarantee. We're not gonna allow.
And if you do, the city will hear about it on the first time.
I deal with it all the time, about 25 years. Again, they don't want traffic jams, they don't want fire, they don't want police, they don't want ambulance. I completely agree with it. I deal with it all the time. We will address it if the truck does not fit the criteria.
Right.
And they'll make accommodations. We're not asking for anything out of the ordinary.
Okay, very good. Are there any other questions for the applicants? None being said, thank you very much for your time.
Welcome, thank you.
And are there any speaker cards for individuals who want to talk?
We have one attendee that would like to speak.
Are they anyone present here that wants to speak or turn in? Have you turned in a card?
But I drove here when you switched the agenda.
Oh, okay, no problem. If you wanted to come up and speak, there's no speaker cards. Please come up, state your name, and you're welcome to speak.
My name is Shelley Jones. I live at 2715 Vanderbilt Lane. And there will be problems with the parking. Cars park there all the time. They will take a lane up because they can't park there because there are cars parked there. But that's neither here nor there. I'm just disappointed. I drove a long way to be here. And to have all this time for them to say that, it sounds like you guys already made your decision. This is supposed to be a public hearing, but it sounds like you made your decision. With the Thirsty Club, the 7-Eleven within eyeshot of this location, as well as multiple eating establishments that serve alcohol within walking distance, what the public needs is not another liquor store. And what public need does this project satisfy? The intersection is already congested and dangerous. Adding another business with a tiny parking lot right across the corner will wreak havoc on an already tenuous traffic situation. As patrons, we need to navigate in and out of what could be an overflowing parking lot, especially if there's trucks parked there. Very limited capacity. This neighborhood has seen numerous police responses this year already, specifically right around this intersection, including shootings, stabbings, sexual assault, substance abuse, to name a few. And there is a recovery house less than 1 block away. Crime, trash, drunk people hanging out on our street and sometimes sleeping on our property is something we have to deal with already. I've requested a traffic study to be conducted in years past because there are so many accidents that happen at that U-turn going south on Inglewood at Vanderbilt. And now I know there will be even more, especially if there's a truck parked there, because that's where they turn around. You can look at the wall on our property just to see how many times it's been hit by those accidents that happen. I'm appalled and disappointed and concerned that based on the review of the plans by the Planning Division, approval of this project is recommended. To me, this seems like the decision has already been made, and I wonder who is benefiting from it, because we, the community residents, are certainly not. But you obviously don't care because you don't have to live there. It is beyond me how the nuisance city staff consulted with the Redondo Beach Police Department and determined that simply posting a sign prohibiting on-site consumption and loitering will address their concern. Because this won't happen. We know they're not going to drink in the store. They're going to come out and drink on the street. Easy for them to come to this conclusion because, again, they don't reside at this location. There are reasons why this law is in place and why we vehemently oppose this exemption. We want to make the Artesia corridor as important to you as the South Redondo Beach areas, and this does not do it. Again, I ask, what possible public need could a new liquor store add to our neighborhood? To us, this certainly needs more planning and assumes that it should be done unless you've definitely already made up your minds. And if that's truly the case, why are we even here tonight?
Thank you. Are there any other speakers here in the audience like to speak? Mr. Mueller?
Yes.
I saw you there sitting there patiently, and I knew you were going to come up. Please state your name for the record.
Jim Mueller, District 5. Well, the CUP analysis by the planning department says that this project meets the ACAP requirement that businesses cater to neighborhood needs rather than commuter needs. And I can see, I guess it's not catering to community needs. So I asked the planning department, what research have you done to show the neighborhood is so in need of beer, wine, and liquor and potato chips that needs 2 outlets right across from each other? What research have you done, Mr. Weiner? None.
Oh, come on now.
Since Artesia is a major commuter artery leading to an interstate highway and Inglewood is a main artery leading to the interstate, that location is ideal to snag people just passing through or coming from surrounding cities, Hawthorne or Inglewood. Alcohol consumption going away from these locations is a problem for law enforcement, our school system, certainly our homeless coordinator. And what kind of community development is it that doesn't seem to get that message and try to encourage businesses that are healthy for our community? Let me show you what you can buy right out of a bin at a North Redondo drugstore. Fireball, cinnamon, whiskey, and good old Southern Comfort, right out of a bin. That's what allowing alcohol on Artesia Boulevard has come to. The flower shop building has been vacant for about a year. Plenty of time for the city to encourage a tenant with a healthy business. Will the city allow every empty storefront to become a booze store? Once again, the analysis for this project doesn't include projected revenues. What does the city expect to get in return for this license? Is it really worth the risk to the community to allow this business? I've spoken to you and the council against cannabis and smoke shops and alcohol sales in North Redondo, so you might think I'm an uptight guy. Well, doesn't appreciate a good time. Well, not true. In fact, I have an idea for a business that will get more revenue for the city than all the booze stores in Redondo. This business will pay TOT, sales tax, property tax. What is it, you ask? Well, it's what I call a 1-hour motel. In and out in an hour, great TOT, more sales tax from condom and pills. How about that, commissioners?
You'll need to take out a fictitious business name statement.
Indeed. Are there any other speakers in the audience that wish to speak? And no one else online?
We have 2 people online that would like to speak.
Please go ahead.
The first is Kim Raye.
Please go ahead.
Are you there, Kim?
Hello, Kim. You can speak. If you haven't unmuted yourself, please do.
On to the next person.
Maybe we can come back
Next
to her. If you
person
can't
is
get that
Diane
person.
Moore.
Diane, you're up next. Can you please go ahead and speak?
Oh, can you? Oh shit, we're both.
Needs to turn off her speaker.
Less reverb.
Yeah, turn on, if you have your other speaker on or phone on, you might want to turn one off.
I can't unmute.
Okay, maybe go in the other room.
Here, I couldn't try again.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yeah, you're coming through much better now. Please state your name for the record and then go ahead.
Okay, my name is Diane Moore. I'm actually here with Kim Ray, and I have worked next door at Redwood Animal Hospital for 20 years. Kim Ray is the owner of the property next door. And we have major concerns about more issues. If you call the non-emergency police department of Redondo Beach, you'll hear us calling in frequently for unhoused people in our parking lot, people coming over from the Thirsty Club in our parking lot, urinating in our parking lot, sleeping in our parking lot, defecating in our parking lot. Yeah, even just doing bad things. But the thing with the delivery, we've had troubles even in previous years with the flower shop. When they would have a delivery truck, sometimes they pull into our parking lot. We have a big, wonderful parking lot, but we have a big practice. We have lots of veterinarians and lots of clients coming in and out, and our driveway frequently gets blocked, even though it is a turn lane and there's not supposed to be anybody there. There's a bus stop there. It's a constant cluster. Kim, you wanna?
Yeah, and I think our biggest problem is what we always have is people, if you see that the parking for them is in the back of their building, so people will have to go around to get to the front. Our parking lot sits right next to that building, and so everybody loves to park in our parking lot. And it takes away all of our client parking. Several times, we've got signs up, we have everything, and people will still always park there because it's much more convenient to just step over. I think we just have some bumpers there. That's about it, that they step over and will go well, they used to go to the flower shop. And I think our biggest concern too is with people using our property, even on the off hours when we're not there, especially late at night, since this place will be open late at night, that they will be drinking on our property, which we see that probably at least 2 to 3 times a week. We do have a big vagrant problem, especially in our parking lot. It's very long and it's dark. We do have some lighting only on our side of the building. And we have nothing, there's no barrier really to keep people out. And I think people are just gonna sit there and drink, unfortunately, smoke. We've already had that in that parking lot several times. So I'm just concerned too of that population of, we really, even
Time.
if it had to go through, I would literally want
Motion to
wall.
extend.
Motion to extend.
Second.
Please continue, go ahead. I hope everyone
Biggest
continues.
thing that, if that were to go through, I would want a wall or some kind of barrier in between our parking lot and that front area, so that people could not use our lot. And especially on the times when we're not there, we still do come to the office. I'm there very late at night. I just don't want people hanging out there.
And if you need video proof of the things that do happen in that parking lot, we have a couple of Ring cameras that have documented a lot of things. And the police are aware of it, and the police are very wonderful, but they're not there all of the time. And there's only so much they can do.
Very good. Well, thank you very much. We appreciate your calling in. At this point, do we close public hearing or?
I have one more attendee that would like to speak. We have one more. Tim.
Please state your name.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, please, yeah, please state your name for the
Yes.
record.
My name is Tim Doran, and I would just like to add on to some of the comments made. The parking situation is never going to work. That parking lot is so small. If you have one car pulling out while another car is trying to pull in, you're going to have a traffic jam. And that's with 2 customers. As far as the activity in that neighborhood, you're looking to have alcohol available on every corner of that intersection. How is that any sort of planning whatsoever? The police response just this year in that neighborhood has been off the charts, with You heard the reports. There has been a shooting, a sexual assault, not a block away. You have a recovery house less than a block away from an intersection with 4 outlets of alcohol. Who is planning this activity? Who thinks that they're serving the needs of a community by flooding this neighborhood with alcohol? It's absolutely stunning. That's all I have to say.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Are there any other speakers, or are we?
We have no more attendees.
So I have a question for our Deputy City Attorney.
Mr. Geddes?
One of the people who just spoke publicly, against this project is going to be doing a tooth extraction on my dog on Wednesday. Do I have to recuse myself, or would you advise that?
There's no financial conflict. Unless you feel like you cannot be fair and impartial, it's really a decision that you would have to make. I don't think there's any
Okay.
apparent conflict.
Okay.
But,
Okay. Well,
but
and I
if you,
have to confess my discomfort with putting more alcohol into the Artesia Quarter in the first place.
That's where this thing started.
Right.
Well, go ahead. I'll wait my turn.
I think
that says it.
I think most of us concur with that this assessment as well. Mr. Boswell?
So on that point, to get clarification, our mission tonight is not to determine whether the city should have another alcohol outlet. It's that we're going to rule on this conditional use permit. So these complaints that people are having and seem to be asking us not to approve this is not really, it's not really our role tonight, is it? Or is it?
So
are we tasked with saying, looks like the city is, knee deep in this, neck deep in this, and now it comes to the planning commission, and the planning commission says, well, what was the city thinking? We're going to say no. Is that something we can do?
So the item before you is the conditional use permit. So you would have to make a decision on whether you want to grant that conditional use permit. And your decision would be based on the criteria for issuing a conditional use permit and the additional provisions under 10-2-1600, which is the additional findings you would have to make for a liquor store. So that is what is before this body for consideration.
And does that include being able to say Redondo Beach does not need another liquor store on that corner? And that's our reasoning for denial. I'm not seeing that we have that option, but do we?
So you would have.
Can we say they've met all of these conditions for the CUP, but the city of Redondo Beach, in our opinion, does not need another liquor business in that area? Can we deny it based on that one thing when they meet all the others?
So you need to make a decision based on the criteria in section 10-2.1600 and the criteria for issuing a CUP. So if those findings are not made, then you have the option to deny the conditional use permit.
On those.
Based on the
those
criteria and the.
Is this one of them? I will have to go back and read that since you're not being very specific, but I'm asking a very specific question beyond or perhaps included in these conditions. Is there one that we can say, where we can say Redondo Beach does not need another liquor store?
That's right there.
That is not a criteria.
That's what I'm asking. That's what I'm trying to get to the bottom of.
I think that was my original question in the beginning.
As was mine.
And And
I'm trying to confirm that now.
correct, and Director Weiner, I believe, answered that question. And I'm just answering it a more direct way
And
with
thank
you,
you,
Commissioner.
but the reason I asked for clarification, despite feeling that it's already been answered, is because virtually everybody who's come here tonight does not care about a lot of the things in this that the CUP would require. What they're concerned about is having a liquor store in their neighborhood. And that's not a condition that we're tasked with saying yes or no to tonight,
I
right?
disagree. We heard concerns about trucks and parking and loading and unloading.
Related to the fact that it's that kind of business.
I
If it
don't,
was
I don't think
another
that has
kind of a-
anything to do with the kind of business. That's as someone who lives in District 4, that's a concern I have regularly, especially in the area I live in.
And I live even closer to this place than anybody. And I have no opinion on whether there should be another liquor store or not as a commissioner. And that's my role here, not my personal feelings or my personal opinion. It's as a commissioner, it appears that we do not have the option to just say no to this because it's a liquor store or because the kind of things that liquor stores need to do, like deliver in big trucks. It's just not a condition that we can say no about.
It's not a criteria, correct. It is, I believe what you are referring to is more of a policy that I believe Mr. Weiner indicated there was a referral to staff at the last council meeting by a council member to look at this issue. And so that will be examined by staff.
So that particular thing that people are mostly concerned about will be addressed by, per direction from the city council to staff.
Correct.
So even if we approve this, it could later be denied based on those, on staff's findings for the city council, right?
No,
No?
no. If you grant this conditional use permit, then it will be granted based on the conditions that are contained in the resolution, and the applicant will have to comply with those conditions. If the city council decides at a later point to initiate policy that, for instance, with the smoke shops, they've directed staff to look at limiting the amount of smoke shops that are allowed in the city, then that's something that, you know, the staff can do. But that would not revoke the CUP that is approved tonight, if that is what the Planning Commission does.
So that would limit further growth, but not stop anything that's in place at the time of that policy.
Correct. So there are ways to address existing establishments. And for instance, like the smoke shop, and I'm just using that as an example, you would have to have a period of time when, you know, they could phase out their use. But you couldn't summarily indicate.
Close it down, it might
You
be
can't
over certain
retroactively
years
close
or
something down after you granted a CUP.
Correct, correct.
Commissioner Gaddis, you had a question, I believe.
Yeah, kind of a two-part question. First of all, under item 2, in accordance with section 10-2, 1600, et cetera, item C, the addition of the proposed use to the mix of commercial uses in its vicinity will not create a blighting influence.
It's on page 4 of the resolution.
I think what we're having described by the people who live and work in that neighborhood is there's a blighting problem. And the question is, does this contribute to what the residents are describing as blight?
Yeah, and I think that, and I was gonna comment on that. So we don't have condition or a criteria that looks to balance the number of uses, limit the amount of liquor stores or alcohol serving businesses on the street. We do have other criteria the planning commission could evaluate and may not come to the same conclusion as staff in the staff report. So one is the one that you referenced, Commissioner Gaddis, and that I don't know. I think the commission would have to be able to deliberate and make a case like as to why it would cause additional blight. There is a condition or a criteria. Sorry, I just lost it.
I still have
B, that the proposed use shall have no adverse effect on abutting property or the permitted use thereof.
Yeah, that was, yeah.
So we heard some concerns about that.
Right.
So that's something that the commission could take a look at. And then there's also one, the prior to that, whether the site has adequate access to a public street, adequate width and pavement to carry the quantity and kind of traffic generated by the proposed use. That was a concern raised as well. So there are criteria that you're evaluating this, and if the commission's unable to find that the application meets criteria, that could be a basis for denial. It just wouldn't be based solely on the fact that it's a liquor store and we feel that we're at a saturation point, because we don't really have criteria that speaks to that directly.
Yeah, I mean, having been, served many years, 7 years on the GPAC, it's definitely a balance of uses and types of businesses, concentrations, that were top of mind when we were looking through, at different areas of the city. For sure, there's a lot of discussion of that. I'm not contradicting what you're saying, but, as I say, the current situation has the odor of blight, and as a matter of fact, in the in item 1, subsection, and there's something subsection C, and then just like a G under the C, regulation of noise, vibration, odor, and the like. And so what's being described to us is, sort of rampant public intoxication, consumption of alcoholic beverages, already occurring at this place. And I don't know if Dr. Ray, or who commented on this, she brought up that people are doing it late at night. Obviously, we've cut back the hours from 11 to 10. Additionally, if this passes, can we put in, that a wall would be required between her parking lot?
You could require that a wall or fence, and I think that would make sense to separate the properties. I would say, because I hear there's concern about the potential impacts of this business, the commission also has the option to potentially continue it, and staff can do some additional research, meet with the police department, see if liquor stores tend to have a history or a pattern of having being problem sites within the city, and that could help inform your decision as to whether or not these findings can be made.
I just want everybody to know I'm going to make a motion in that direction.
Yeah, I would like to say, yeah, I'm really liking that idea for a couple of reasons. One, we're not hearing a bunch of people come in here and saying we need to have another liquor store there. We're hearing the opposite. I don't know if what they are saying is true. I don't believe everything I hear. So they say they have Ring cameras, photographs or videos of this behavior going on there. Let's get the police records for this. So we usually have that kind of information readily available. I'm not comfortable making a decision approving it tonight, so I would prefer to have additional information.
Commissioner Boswell.
You know, I kind of have to agree that there's a lot of missing pieces that the community is concerned about that we need to be looking at. But I guess after hearing the animal hospital's testimony, it sounds really bad. So yeah, you know, is it exaggerated or is it consistent? Who knows? But I do have to wonder if it's that bad, why have they not installed floodlights on a motion detector to make sure that that parking lot is not pitch dark when there's somebody wandering around in it? So I kind of wonder just how consistently bad this is. It seems like a fairly inexpensive, well, nothing's inexpensive anymore, but a fairly easy solution to getting the homeless to go move to do their drinking somewhere else and not in your veterinarian parking lot. And you could say the same for the liquor store, is that after hours, who knows what's going on in their lot, but if there were a motion detector with floodlights, they're of course not disturbing the neighborhood. That would bring this down considerably.
That would be a problem.
Can I make a comment to that I'm sure the animal hospital is enough, you know, sensitivities being right up against a residential neighborhood that is within several feet right behind it.
I'm not saying you put up
floodlights
stadium
that came
lights.
off.
I'm not saying stadium lights. You put them below your eaves, and they direct light straight out or slightly down. It doesn't need to be bleeding out into the neighborhood. And I'm sure you could get a lighting engineer to design something that would create or much improve the safety of all these lots. I'm just saying, it seems like there's a solution, but nobody's taken it up. So is it really that bad?
Or why haven't they put in a fence if it was that bad?
Why haven't they put in a fence? Well, it was a flower shop that I never saw anyone ever go into except me. So they're going to have a lot more traffic than they had before. They're going to have a lot more foot traffic. So it could become a problem. And there certainly should be a barrier because of what they've said. But I think there's other solutions that could get this homeless problem that we're not supposed to even have anymore. I mean, we have a declaration that we have a net zero homeless problem in Redondo Beach. I assume that was true, according to testimony.
Not necessarily homeless.
Nobody said they were homeless.
Yeah.
Just
They could have
talking
a home.
talks,
They
you
eventually
know?
do go somewhere inside and sleep, huh?
Maybe.
Well,
If the commission is inclined to continue this matter, then my suggestion would be for someone to make a motion to reopen the public hearing and then continue it to a date certain. And that way it doesn't have to be renoticed.
We haven't closed the public hearing.
Yeah, we haven't
Oh,
closed
you
public
have not?
Yeah,
Okay.
We're still in it.
Yeah, we're still in
Okay.
discussion.
All right, thank you.
I believe you had a question, Mr.
My
Amos?
motion to continue this until we have
Or
more
should you-
information.
Or
Oh, do you have another? Anybody?
You don't think, well, I'm thinking that we actually have enough information based on what all the people around that are saying, that it's a bad intersection. There's an issue with,
Public
the
consumption.
public concern.
There's a lack of parking.
Right.
There's a potential blight.
And I'm
Not
not
a big
sure that
enough
we have
loading
to
zone.
bring, that we have to actually bring it back.
Well,
We can move to
that's
deny it.
assuming that the 4 or 5 people we heard today are telling God's truth here.
Well, why would, I guess
okay,
I'm
why?
wondering, why would they?
Because
mean-
I haven't heard this number of police issues there on that corner.
Well, it's not currently a liquor store, so you wouldn't have that.
but they're
Well, then are they speculating on what's
Murders.
gonna
No, they're
happen?
describing what is happening now.
What's
The
happening
public
now?
consumption is not,
Then
doesn't
where's,
necessarily dependent on a liquor store being there,
But what
but
if-
it ain't gonna help.
But what if they
where's the
don't
police
have,
reports of all of this activity? That's what I would want to see and see if that is actually what's going to be a problem there. Because if it is as a flower shop that's been closed for a year, then yeah, I would absolutely agree that that's not only affecting the neighbor which we're under our purview to say no at, and that small parking lot with that one entrance, which 11 cars are gonna have to get in and out of at the same time. Yeah, I could see us saying no to that, but I'm not sure I could say that at this point.
And why didn't all this come up when we were dealing with almost the same issue across the street? Nobody was talking about murders and rapes.
No, but we did not, across the street in the gas station, as a planning commission, we said no to alcohol. As a planning commission, we said no to alcohol in gas stations. It went on to the city council and they voted for alcohol in gas stations. When we talked about alcohol in gas stations, we presented the numbers of increase in crime, increase in traffic accidents. We presented the fact that Redondo Beach actually is more saturated in liquor stores than any
anywhere.
other beach city. That was all presented. We had speakers that talked about alcohol use in high school, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. We voted against it. So we got a little confused because it went on for so long. It then went to city council. City council voted to put alcohol in gas stations. It then came back to us in the place across the street, right? Because they were allowed to now have alcohol is how that happened. And that's how we conditioned that store.
But there was no community residents coming up and saying, this is going to create crime. This is going to be a problem with the homeless and the public drunks. And nobody was mentioning crime statistics like we have heard tonight, and it's just across the street. So we did, and to your point, we beat this thing to death and said no to it. And then when it got bumped up to the city council, if you happen to have watched the video of how it was presented to the city council, it was basically presented as, the planning commission had some study, but what do you think? I mean, they all the stuff that you just mentioned, none of that went to the city council from staff. It was just swept under the carpet. So the fact that happened makes me concerned about, where are we going with this?
Well, as I understand it from Councilman Ford, can I keep going?
Go ahead.
Commissioner Gaddis, I think you were next.
Oh, yeah,
As I understand, I talked to Councilman Obaji, and he did say that along with the smoke shops, they wanted to create more rules for the liquor stores, right? So that's that kind of whole saturation concept that they want to talk about and have rules. So basically, it's a law that was not taken care of, as was smoke shops. So it's both of those things that they need to address as a city council. But I mean, just to, it's kind of sad because, okay, on Avenue B and Catalina, or Avenue A and Catalina, one of these childhood stories, I'll make it quick. It was a liquor store, right? But my mom could say, go get some Buttergale, go get some milk, we ran out of an onion, we don't have this for dinner, and you could go there and you could get that stuff. And in our report tonight, it says that it is going to be selling groceries. I doubt very much that this liquor store is going to be selling groceries because I don't consider ultra-processed foods groceries. And yet it's in our report that, chips and stuff, that's now what we're considering good for a neighborhood. I mean, I know that that's a thing that the city council has to address, but that, I personally don't want everybody shopping there for their dinner to get chips and stuff like that. Now, is that how I'm going to deny, if I was to deny that tonight? No, it's based on the fact that the neighbor is saying they have problems. They have it being used as a toilet and all of that. So, that's a concern.
So somebody from council asked for some more information. Can we know more about what they asked for? And
With respect to liquor sales?
Yeah. Liquor stores.
It was a referral to staff or something?
It was a referral to staff, and I don't really want to get too much into that. I think Director
Well,
Weiner.
it was done publicly. I could go back and watch the.
No, I'm just
recording
saying,
of
To have it
yes, I'm just saying
addressed.
within this item,
Uh-huh.
I think, I think Director Weiner alluded to it, and I also spoke on it, that there was direction to staff to study liquor establishments in the city.
In broadly general, but
Yes.
not
And it won't
focused
be-
on the Artesia corridor. Or was it?
I think it was Councilman Obaji that made the referral to staff. So I don't know, but I think it was citywide.
Yeah, I don't recall if it was limited to Artesia or citywide, but there was direction to study it, potentially develop an ordinance, something similar to what we've done for the smoke shops.
And the smoke shop issue is not finalized. We just issued, the city council issued a moratorium.
Right.
Emergency ordinance or something, wasn't it?
Well, I'm seeing something about thrift shops in here. Do we have a moratorium on density of thrift shops?
No, it's just on smoke shops, and then the referral was made regarding liquor stores. Or liquor establishments.
Yeah, there's some sort of thing about concentration of thrift shops.
2D.
2D? Yeah, thrift shops. In addition to the criteria above, the following criteria shall be met for thrift shops. Minimum separation of 1,000 feet. Display windows and stuff, that's different.
Right.
Yeah, so I mean, that's,
But not liquor stores.
but not liquor stores. Thrift shops, but not liquor stores. I mean, was this a miss?
I think there.
Did this come from another reporter or something like that, or?
No, this is the criteria that's taken from section 10-2.1600. This is what's in our code.
Right.
And so what I think staff did was just copy their criteria so that you have the entire section.
Okay.
But thrift shops obviously does not apply to this.
No,
CUP.
what I'm saying is that I think, at least I interpreted what you were saying. You say, well, smoke shops were considering, restricting how many smoke shops are open, but it's not finalized. And so Councilman Obaji requested that some sort of, examination of the number of liquor stores be looked at to see whether there should be a similar, right, prohibition on opening more liquor stores. But apparently somebody already did that kind of thing for thrift shops, at least.
Yeah, this was an ordinance that was passed back in January 18th of 1996.
Okay, no.
So, yeah, this is something that happened.
Prior.
Maybe a prior council did do that.
Yeah, and I get it. It's just that we have a precedent for types of businesses
Already.
being limited in concentration. I mean, just from thrift shops alone and soon to be smoke shops, right?
And cannabis retail as well has
Yeah, that's true
limitations
too,
on
yeah.
it. But I will say with this item tonight, it sounds like I'm gathering the planning commission's not inclined to approve. So I think the options are continue and gather more information and come back with that information to inform your decision, or make a decision to deny it based on the fact that you're not able to make the findings the criteria that's required for this. And it is based on the information that you gather through public testimony. That's why it's a public hearing. And if you're compelled by the statements that were made that this business will not meet the criteria based on concerns raised, and that's your prerogative.
So I'd like to make a motion to deny the project. And that's because what's being asked is that we don't have any evidence that what everybody is saying isn't happening. So it's like we're based on this, it says this isn't happening and everything's perfectly fine on the conditions, right? But that's probably not the case, that everything's perfectly fine in that area. And we've had people say that it's not. So that's probably not accurate, that everything's okay and this is going to be a fine place for the neighborhood. But yet it's in there, right? It states it that it is.
Well, you're sort of basically saying the public, additional information we have may be in
Right,
contradiction
there's
to the
no
report we
evidence
have.
that it's okay. Okay, there
Second your
is no
motion.
evidence that this stuff is
Before we
not
do that,
happening.
you had a question. Okay, I'm sorry, before you.
Did you say you?
He actually had a question. He had a question he wanted to ask before Gail started talking.
I wanted to come back to the parking issue now with the assistant city attorney here. This space, this location does not have adequate parking, correct? It previously had what did you call it? Some sort of allowance?
It's legal non-conforming.
Legal non-conforming.
That's a good
So don't we have,
That's now gone.
so as part of this body, do we have the ability to say, we're not going to allow the legal non-conforming to continue? Or is that something the planning department has sole discretion over? Because I'm guessing if we don't allow the legal non-conforming to continue, it's different with a flower shop, the amount of automobiles and foot traffic versus a liquor store. So do we have the ability to not renew that legal non-conforming, and then at that point, they don't qualify to have this location?
I would say no, that really should not factor in. The legal nonconforming status runs with the land, and it's really a land use law matter. And the commission or the city wouldn't have the ability to arbitrarily decide that it no longer applies to a site. I will say with this, and I was looking through the staff report, it looks like the required parking was 12, but there was a reference to one of the spaces being reduced to meet the ADA requirements, and that's allowed under the code. So it may actually be compliant. I need to speak with the planning manager about that.
I
Yeah.
read that too.
It sounds like you'd be open to litigation if you denied it on that.
Not specifically.
Well, yeah, if it goes with the property, then and there's nothing staff or us can do, then thank you, that answers my question. But I will say, just looking at the space, the larger parking lot's in the back, the door to the liquor store is in the front. So there's gonna be, people are gonna be spilling out. There's no parking on Artesia at all. I can see why the neighbor, the vet, had concerns, because it's much shorter to park in their lot, and you're 12 feet away from their front door.
True.
So, yeah, I still have reservations as it relates to this CP.
Right. Before we continue, a matter of clarification though, before we can go to resolutions, we still have the public hearing still open. We have to close that before we can start deliberating.
It's going to be continued, right?
Right.
I would, yes, I would hold off in closing the public hearing if
Just
there's,
wanna make sure.
yeah, if there's going to be a motion to continue it.
Okay. Commissioner Boswell, you had a question?
So I understand the concern about, the larger lot being in the back. If you're coming down Inglewood, you are going to park in the back lot because you can't get to the front lot. If you're coming east on Artesia, you're going to park in the front lot. And if that's full, you go around the corner and park in the back lot.
We're going to park at the veterinarian.
Well,
Or the vet.
and
It's 10 feet away.
if the veterinarian place is closed, because you're buying your booze at 5 minutes to 10, they're never going to know, and it's going to be of no harm to them anyway, unless there's some kind of, crime that goes on, and then they get sued. So, I don't
They're
know.
private property,
But
and it is harm to them. It's wear and tear on their lot, and it's
you know what I mean.
crime
You know what I
happening on
mean.
their
It's not going to
property.
keep any of their customers, which is their biggest concern, from parking there because they're closed. I'm not saying it should be allowed. I'm just saying if people do it, what are you going to do about it? Okay? People park in the wrong parking lot all the time, despite the fact that there's all kinds of "we're going to tow your ass out of here" signs. The parking that they have with 11 spaces is about, I think it's about the same as what Ken's Market has down the street on Inglewood and, Ripley, which is a similar type of a business. It's a liquor store, that does sell, food stuff,
They
mostly
border-
snacks.
Does it border residential property?
It's
Right across from
surrounded,
the old
it's
school,
surrounded by a residential community. There's nothing but
And the
residential
Friendship
around it.
Foundation,
Right,
where
it
that's
used
And
to be
it's,
across
and
from a
it's,
school.
and it's
The school
diagonally
was over
across the street from what used to be an elementary school
Franklin
40
Elementary.
years ago, and is now going to be it looks like they're building
Friendship Center.
a spaceship there. So
It is.
it's huge. But that's not a source of customers either. This is not a lot different, except that it's a larger floor space than Ken's
Yeah.
Market, which has operated since pioneer times, as far as I can tell, without issue, and without parking problems either.
Oh. They have delivery trucks that block traffic.
Do they park on Inglewood?
Oh, yeah.
And there's street parking on Inglewood
No.
there? Then
No,
they
there's
should
no
not be
parking.
parking
That
there.
doesn't mean they don't.
And again, that's a police issue. That's not a store issue. This was the problem with the 7-Eleven on 190th some years back, that even though they had a specific place for the 7-Eleven supply truck to pull up on their cross street, they typically pulled up on, a space on 190th. They would typically pull up on, what is it, McKay? I forget, whatever the cross street is there. And it's one lane, no one could get through. And despite the fact that they'd been cited and all of this, it went on for years. And it was almost as though the 7-Eleven either didn't care or couldn't do anything about it. The truck just would stop in the wherever it wanted to, because that was the shortest distance to wheel stuff into the store, as opposed to all the way through the lot from 190th, a whole 12 feet difference. But that's just what's going to happen. Here, you don't have that problem. You have a parking lane and then 2 driving lanes. Unless that truck is unusually wide, it's not going to block any traffic parked next to this store.
It says in the documents that their loading zone is actually in the front.
But how could
Smaller.
it be? It's a right turn lane.
That's what we're.
You tell me.
How
That's
could there be
the way
a
it's
loading,
written.
how could there be a loading
They're
dock
gonna-
there? So
that's
it's
what-
incorrect.
Yeah.
They could park
It's
an angle and
incorrect.
roll it into the front. But
All right,
Commissioner Light.
I kind of changing my mind here a bit in that the fact is, we very rarely actually have the power to say no to something lately. And if something seems not right to us, we probably should.
But shouldn't we have all the evidence
We have-
before we do that?
That was my initial position there. But if there is no evidence that this wouldn't blight their neighbor and no evidence it wouldn't make parking difficult there and traffic difficult and make it a safety hazard, I would say absolutely, let's get all of that information. I think I'm getting close to thinking there's enough evidence that it would. And I don't think that the city council is going to overrule us on this one. I don't see what grounds they'd have to do that.
Yeah.
So
Like to
so
hear
there's a
from
motion.
Commissioner Young, who lives in the area, if possible, how you feel about it?
I'm honestly mostly concerned about traffic flow in the
Okay.
area.
And that's a concern.
That was my question. That's what concerns me. I mean, the being so close to residences, I think is a point of contention as well.
Okay. Thank you.
So before we go further, we have a couple options here. One is to continue it. And by doing so, we will not close the public comment. I understand. If we
It will be a public hearing.
public hearing. So do we have any ideas on where do we want to proceed at this point?
So if we close the public hearing and vote,
Well, someone has to make a,
yeah, well, hold on, I'm
Yeah,
asking the deputy city
Get the
attorney.
procedure here.
If we close the public hearing, we can always reopen, we can't, because there's a public
Continue.
notice,
You have to continue.
but you can't continue a closed public hearing.
No, correct.
So,
We'd have to continue this meeting, in other words.
so if we close the public hearing, we have to vote.
You can close a public hearing and then you can have the vote. You could, if there's not a clear path forward in each of your minds, then don't close the public hearing. There's a motion on the floor. If someone seconds that, and then you can just proceed. I would not close the public hearing because you don't know how this commission is going to vote on the motion on the floor. But with the motion on the floor to deny the granting of the CUP, what I would suggest is that the commissioners look at all the criteria that's stated in the draft resolution that's part of this agenda item and clearly indicate which condition is not met. And
I think,
and that way there's sufficient, and that would be based on whatever the motion maker believes. There's sufficient evidence in the record that, X condition is not met because of this reason, and so forth and so on. Just so that it's very clear as to why the decision to deny the CUP is being made. In the alternative, if the motion is, if the motion on the floor does not get seconded and voted upon, and the motion is to continue, then obviously do not close the public hearing and then make a motion to continue to a date specific. And if there's additional information that commissioners want to see staff bring back, then I would make that part of that motion. And then the third option is to make a motion to grant the CUP with the additional conditions that were discussed. And I think staff has been taking notes and modifying the draft resolution. And then we would read that into the record so that it's clear, and then you can close the public hearing. I think in this instance, because there are so many paths to resolution, that it would be wise just not to close the public hearing until you have a vote. And then you can make a motion to close the public hearing after you have your vote.
Okay, and how, well, I have two questions now. One is, how far down the road should our date certain be if we decide not to close public hearing?
If you decided to continue it, you could pick a reasonable time. You can pick the next meeting or the meeting after.
Okay.
But I think about 60 days is probably reasonable.
Okay.
I don't think you should go further than 60 days. I think the applicant has a right to have a reasonable, amount of time to have a decision by this body.
Okay, second question, and this is for Director Weiner. What notification was sent out to the neighborhood, and what is the approximate number of residences that was sent to? I know there's a radius, right? And when was that sent out, and were there any responses?
I can try to find the mailing. So the typical notice response is 300 feet radius around the subject site. The only residential properties are to the south of the subject site. We did not receive any formal public comments for this project until the public hearing that happened tonight.
Okay. When was that sent out? That's something that if we do continue, if we could get more information on the notification to the residents, because it's odd to have people come out of the woodwork sort of at I believe them. I believe what they're saying. And for them to appear now and not to have appeared prior to now seems strange to me.
To answer your previous question, so the mailing radius includes a total of 65 properties, but that includes both commercial and residential.
Okay.
And no response.
And yeah, I did not receive I did not receive a response to the public notice.
Oh, but they responded here.
Okay.
So the motion on the floor was to deny the project based on the condition, the proposed use shall have no adverse effect on abutting properties or the permitted use thereof, but we don't have evidence that that's actually the case. And we
Well,
did
it's and
get,
number 2 as well. The site
Yeah.
premises have access to public street or highway.
right, number 2 as well, the side of the proposed
Those
use
would be the
shall
2.
have adequate access to public streets or highways of adequate, yeah, exactly. We discussed both of those things, and I don't think it meets those criteria, and that's why my motion is to deny the project. Now, I just need a second.
I had seconded it.
Okay. Can we get a,
Okay, good.
Would you be open to a friendly amendment?
Sure.
I would propose to amend it to deny it for the following reasons. Concentration of off-sale alcohol licenses within the neighborhood exceeds that of community standards, creating a detriment to public safety. The site lacks adequate parking, evidenced by the legal non-conforming deficit, lack of an adequate loading zone, and peak curbside saturation affecting residential and commercial neighbors. And finally, the late night hours and proximity to homes are incompatible with the neighborhood commercial land use goal of protecting adjacent residential uses.
I would take all of that. The one is the saturation of liquor stores. We just don't have a code that says that we have a saturation. I mean, we know we do. We all know we do. But in the city of Redondo, that hasn't been determined. And as I understand it, that's what the city council wants to take up.
Okay.
So I don't think that that one criteria needs to be, you know, that, but all the others are right, which is like, does it fit in? And what are the residents saying about it? And so far, they've brought us evidence that it doesn't work.
Well, and have we addressed what we have for the following reasons, the addition of the proposed use to the mix of commercial uses in its vicinity will not create a blighting influence. So we actually have to have evidence that it wouldn't blight the neighborhood, correct? Is that correct?
I believe so.
And what would,
Is that
what
correct?
would that evidence be?
It's not our responsibility to come up with that, is it? So I mean, this is proving a negative. I mean, a negative needs to be proved
Right.
Yeah, right.
for this to be approved.
And then just one more point, Commissioner Light, that you mentioned that nobody responded to the mailings, or was it Boswell? It was Commissioner Boswell.
Nope, he
They
said that.
generally don't respond to mailings,
I know
but they
that.
came here tonight, you know, which is actually more of a
Yeah.
headache to come and talk to us tonight than it is to respond to a mailing, and then we get it in a blue folder item. It's
Yeah.
just, you know, they showed up to the public hearing, which is what they're supposed to do.
One person.
No, we had
Two on the
people
phone,
online.
two
Here, two in the
three
He's
on the
always
phone.
coming here, so he doesn't count. This is just what he does on these nights.
There was
He
a-
doesn't count.
There were
At least
5,
four or
because there were
five.
there one,
there
and
were
2
5.
on one call and
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
a third.
But
So
they
it's
didn't
5
come
people.
here. She's referring to the making the effort to come down here
Well,
and speak. That was
anyway.
one
Well,
person.
they communicated
And
tonight.
she
5
did have
people.
strong opinions, which we have to consider. And the people who were
So
remotely commenting
I've
had
seconded
strong
her
opinions
thing.
also.
I'm
So we have a motion, we have a second, and we have a friendly amendment. So are we ready to vote on?
well, we'd have to close the public hearing
Ready to
before
do
voting,
that.
right?
Okay.
No.
Motion to close the
no,
public hearing.
I make a motion to continue this to another date when we have
Yeah, I
all
was
the
gonna say, can we
evidence.
have 2
second
competing
that.
motions? at the
Well,
same
we
time?
have this-
First motion.
Okay,
Get
so,
all the
Need a
facts.
second on
Let's
that.
decide on
Talk.
this.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
okay, so there was a motion, it was seconded, there was a friendly amendment that was accepted. So if there's a substitute motion, then someone could make a substitute motion. It would have to be seconded, and then you would vote on the substitute motion first, and then you would go to the initial motion.
That's probably a good
So
direction to go.
substitute motion to continue this at a later date when we have all the facts in front of us, and can make an intelligent decision.
I second that.
Okay, can we have a date certain? So the next
Within the
planning
next-
commission meeting in June or the next
You were
planning
saying 60
commission?
days out
Let's say
should be
July.
appropriate?
July.
I was just saying that
Yeah, that's
that
a
would be probably the maximum you should go, but you could do it in June, you can do it
I
in
don't care
July.
when we do it. It sounds like it shouldn't be that much trouble to get the missing pieces by next month, and I'd be happy with that.
What are the missing pieces? It's too vague. You have to list specifically what it is that you
How do
want.
we need to confirm some of these claims about rampant crime and public drinking.
How do we do that?
Well, we want to go look at that video that they say they
Videos,
have, for
police
one thing.
reports.
So if we find out that there's, I mean, you're going to find out there's some crime or there's little or near no crime. How does that change?
Here's the thing, though. A lot of the things that are being mentioned, I don't think are valid. The parking issue is not an issue at Ken's Market like it is, like you're saying it's going to be here. The delivery issue is not like anywhere else because there is a parking lane for the truck to sit in. It's not going to block traffic. And it's going to be in the morning when the traffic is on the other side of Inglewood going north. There's almost nobody going south.
Except the resolution says that they're going to park the truck in that front lot, the small lot.
Except that's an
No, it says it's
error
gonna
on
be-
the part of staff to have put that in there because that's physically not possible. There's a bus stop there and it's a right turn lane. You can't block that. It's
Then when-
it's an
9 times
error.
out of 10, when there's a car parked along Inglewood, what's the truck going to do then? It's going to park in the street.
It's not going to, okay, if a truck double parks, it's now an enforcement issue that the police need to be called and cite that truck. It's not the problem of the store that the delivery truck is breaking the law when there's a place for it. Now, what they might do is have like 7-Eleven did. They have that space marked off on 190th that's for delivery. You can't park there during certain hours. We have places around the city and around the South Bay that says you can't park here because it's a taxi zone after a certain hour or an Uber pickup after a certain. We could certainly accommodate that fairly easily. The delivery issues that people are having a problem with are not an issue. The parking is not an issue. You've got lots of in and out on this, and it's not like 50 people are going to show up to buy booze all at the same time. And if they are, they're going to have to circle the block. So a lot of the objections that I'm hearing about this are not, I don't think they're valid, number one. And there is testimony that would make it appropriate to deny this, but we don't know how valid that is. I mean, what animal hospital is going to want a liquor store next door to them anyway? Regardless of whether it's a problem, it's just not a good look for them.
And there's a lack
A
of
flower
testimony.
shop was.
There's a lack of testimony of anybody asking for another liquor store in the area also.
And why would somebody come all the way down here to say, I want to have another liquor store? That's a non-issue. That's a non-issue as well to bring that up. Oh, well, nobody said we want one. You know what? If people don't want one, they'll be out of business in no time and it won't be an issue anymore. And then we can have something else move in there.
Well,
If there is demand for a liquor store in that area, it's their problem if they're wrong about it, not ours.
I think the safer way is with what Commissioner Boswell's saying. I mean, the safer way is to find out if the testimony we heard, because I was all ready to say, yes, let's open this place up. And then I heard pretty compelling testimony. But as one who is an expert witness on the stand a lot, I know people don't always say things in their best interest. I mean, they do tend to say things in their best interest. They don't necessarily say the truth. We heard that with our first situation with the gymnastics. All of these people who I thought were going to be, oh, this is great, we should have a gym here. No, you're competition for us, so you can't open there. So we're going to tell you all the things that are terrible about this place, which I don't believe. and we all didn't believe, and we voted yes on it, so.
Easy not to believe.
Okay, I'm gonna circle back here. So we've got a motion, we've got a substitute motion. Do we have a second for the substitute motion?
So we should get the vote on the
Vote on
So
substitute.
we have to vote,
motion
so
first,
we
right?
have to vote, so should we do a roll call vote?
No, wait. There's the substitute motion and you second it?
She seconded
Oh,
it.
okay.
Seconded, so
yeah.
we have a substitute motion to continue this within.
And so we vote on that first.
We vote on that
Correct.
first.
Correct.
So can we get a roll call vote on that? Thank you.
Commissioner Light,
Aye.
Commissioner Boswell,
Yes.
Commissioner Young,
Aye.
Commissioner Gaddis,
No.
Commissioner Conroy,
Nope.
Commissioner Hazeltine,
No?
Chairperson Craig.
No. So the substitute motion does not succeed, so we go back to the original
Original
motion.
motion, correct.
Roll call vote, right?
A roll call vote on that, please.
Commissioner Light,
Being of two minds, I'm going to go aye.
Commissioner Boswell,
No.
Commissioner Young,
Aye.
Commissioner Gaddis,
Aye.
Commissioner Conroy,
Aye.
Commissioner Hazeltine,
Aye.
Chairperson Craig.
That would be an aye. So the motion carries. The CUP is denied. So the CUP is denied.
And then you could make a motion to close the public hearing.
Okay, then a motion to close public hearing.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Very good. Okay. So next we have item K, items continued from previous agenda. Is there anything to continue from the previous agenda? No. Then we have items for discussion for prior to action. Anything on that? No? Any items from staff?
Yeah, I just wanted to note that the smoke shop ordinance was referenced tonight. We are scheduled to bring that to the Planning Commission in July. It's partially baked. It's already been reviewed by the council a bit, but we're looking forward to the Planning Commission's input on the ordinance. And then also in August, we're anticipating bringing the entitlements, the coastal development permit and design review for the Avenue A ramp project. It's finally going to be before you. So we're targeting August for that date, for that project. And then other than that, the city council recently had their strategic planning session a few weeks ago. We did carry forward the recommendations of the planning commission to the city council. And I do anticipate that once we get through this phase 2 of the general plan, which we're gonna embark on this summer with the council, there are gonna be several long-range planning to-do items that we're gonna be bringing before the planning commission. So for example, the city council would like to develop similar to the ACAP, a plan for PCH. And there's some other things. They want to look at the land uses. We talked about that a little bit tonight. So there's some things that are going to come out of this general plan update. They're going to be back with the planning commission and really helping set policy for the city. So I just wanted to give the commission a heads up on that. And that's it for my updates.
I had a question, I don't know if it's appropriate at this point, but are there any further updates with the gallery at all? I know that I know apparently it's been sold, that was called back, it was sold to a different company. I don't know all the details. I was curious if you have an update on that.
Yeah, it's been on a winding road.
Yeah.
And so I didn't want to commit to a date, but according to the applicant, they are anticipating that the housing portion will come before the planning commission in July. But we said that last summer and it took a while.
26?
Yeah, it's 2-3 years now, right? So-
Yeah, and I will say it's a little challenging right now with everything going on with the economy. It's had, can have a bit of a chilling effect on development projects just because there's a lot of uncertainty about the future costs. So that's probably a factor of that, maybe some of the other projects. But hopefully that smooths out, and at the same time, it gives us some more bandwidth to work on the advanced planning and policy setting, as I just mentioned, if projects do slow down over the next several months or year.
Right. Yeah, the part of the question I had with that too is that I heard, again, not confirmed, I know that the original CUP had certain aspects of it, and this was an additional, added the housing component to it. Has there been talk of them starting this whole thing over again, because I heard some stuff about they may want to add more Class A office space, which would be a start over, I believe, if they did that.
That has been put out there. It's been contemplated, kind of reimagining different options for the site. But like I said, I think right now that's the future of the mall is pretty up in the air. But they are looking to obtain the additional housing entitlement because I think that helps, according to the developer, unlock some of the other options for the site financially.
Financing wise.
Yeah.
Right.
Because they told me they can't get the financing, but the banks will say, well, if there was more housing, well, they gave up that housing in order to get the deal that they had.
Yeah.
I think that circling around and adding it all back in kind of made the whole exercise a waste of time. I mean, what happens if the next time we deny something because there's too much
We're
density?
kind of getting off point. We're now preaching to the staff about an update we're asking.
And maybe we should.
No, but it's well taken. We'll take
We
it. but
just need to know
We'll
what
take it, but we're just asking
the-
Director
the
Weiner a
history
couple
of it
questions, and
is-
he's just giving us what he may or may not know.
It gets really complicated when you say, well, what's going to happen going forward if we allow them to go back and give them
Again,
what they
that's
gave
something
up?
we can deal with at that point, but right
It'll
now.
be too late at that point,
And this
just
is
like it
not
was
on
too
the
late tonight.
agenda.
That's not
Yeah,
an agenda item.
this item is for the director just to give brief updates on planning items coming before the commission.
Very good.
Fair enough.
Then, any other updates anyone would like to have? No?
Referrals and stuff.
We have commission member items and future commission agenda topics. What's our next? Anything? Nope. Okay, then next we have adjournment.
Motion to adjourn.
Oh, did you have a?
Do we have referrals to staff? Is that what you just said?
No, it just says commission member items and future commission agenda topics is the
Oh,
title.
we don't have a referrals to staff
I
section
don't
anymore?
see one here.
Okay. Well, then I don't know if this is the right section, but.
They took it off
I
on
have,
purpose.
I do, I know, so that we won't
Good for
say.
you, yeah.
Good one,
Real quick, real quick.
Still open to referrals, so feel free.
Okay.
Thanks for
You're out
putting
of
in,
order.
thanks for putting
that-
in
get
the
that ballot.
crosswalk at Harkness and Agate. It's much appreciated. Got a lot of kids and automobiles going through there, so much appreciated. And then the other thing, do we have access to the presentations that you guys do before the meeting? Is that available?
We could
on the
arrange
city
for
website?
that to
they're
happen.
done.
Usually,
I'm sorry, what?
If they're done.
They're done. I understand they might not be done till right before the meeting.
yeah, so frankly, we're usually getting them done like the day of the meeting, but if the commission would prefer to receive them ahead of time, we could.
As a
get-
blue folder item,
Yeah.
it would help me. I would like to read through it beforehand.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, we'll
It'd be good.
work on getting that out. Maybe even if possible, it can go out as an attachment with the packet. I've been accustomed to doing that in past cities,
Yeah.
so. Let us take a look at that. At a minimum,
When feasible.
I could say that we could get it out prior to the meeting so that you have a few days to digest it.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah.
With that, motion to adjourn.
I have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
We're done.
Great, thank you.